Hey, welcome everybody to SteeleWatching, the podcast for Remington Steele fans. I am Eric, and I probably should have said this a couple of seasons back, but it just didn't come up at the time. And I really wish I could sleep without dreaming. They ruin my sleep. I wake up after I dream, and if I have 2 or 3 dreams a night, I wake up 2 or 3 times, and then of course there's the whole subject of the dreams. They're sometimes crazy and chaotic, but the theme is always the same, and it's very, very depressing.
I've felt that way ever since I saw Nightmare on Elm Street, but yeah. When I was 8. And I'm Sara, and I'm feeling a bit like George Edward Mulch, where nothing really ever works out despite having some good ideas.
Oh, tell me about it. I've had so many great ideas that I couldn't afford to do, and a few years later, somebody does them.
Yep.
So, yeah. Well, okay, I was going to say it. Should I say it now? Yeah, George Mulch is basically the adult Remington Steele version of Charlie Brown.
Yeah. Or Eeyore. Yeah.
Anyway, let's see. We have a few things to take care of before we get started. So one of those is that we have a new subscriber.
Yay!
Oh, yes, we appreciate our subscribers. They provide financial support to help us cover the costs and just take a little bit of stress off of our minds as we're doing this. So we thank you. You joined yesterday as we are recording this, which would have been December the 13th. So you know who you are, and we thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Eric, I think you did the math and found that percentage-wise, this little fandom has a much higher amount of people subscribing than a lot of other fandoms that have maybe larger viewerships or larger amounts of people that watch the show or whatnot, which is really cool.
Yes.
Because it just means that the people that are still with the show after 43 years, and I had to remember how old I was to do that math.
I have to do the math too for myself.
Yeah, but the show's age is my age, so I really should know this.
Yeah, but also I've got an excuse because I've got all the timers. So
yeah, that's true. But yeah, just the fact that there's so many people that are not only still watching it, but listening and then actively helping us out is really cool. And I've always thought that way because I have a lot of other fandoms that I am involved with, I'm into and whatnot. And a lot of them have much larger amounts of people that know about the show or watch the show or whatnot, but they're not as singularly dedicated as this fandom, I've noticed. And and there's not as much I haven't seen any, aside from maybe one other fandom that I'm a part of, there's always so much division and so much, I don't know, just people snarkiness and whatnot, but that's not what I've experienced with the Steele Watchers. They're just all such lovely people, and they're so nice and so accommodating.
And then
helpful.
I joined.
And then Eric joined and started singing and talking about sweaters. But other than that, just in general, we are really, really appreciative. And we both thought since, it's Christmas, well, by the time you hear this, it'll be long past, but still, it was nice to say thank you, and we really appreciate all of the help and support.
Yes, we do. And then we had one other shout out.
Yeah.
And you are responsible for this.
So while I was doing my notes for the last episode, Steele in the Air, I mentioned this in the episode that I had Googled the name Cool Fire to see if there was actually a band called Cool Fire, either in the 80s or otherwise, and found that there were in fact 2. And one was, I think, in Spain or something like that. And the other one was a garage band in California, I believe. And they had the name Cool Fire, and they formed in 2016. And so I reached out via Facebook message just to see if they would respond, to see how they got their name. I didn't think, they must have gotten it from Remington Steele, because that would be a really bizarre coincidence.
But things like that have happened,
Yeah, I was just curious to see how they came up with the name or where it came from. And I didn't hear back until today. So I had sent this message. I just said, I know this is going to sound kind of bizarre, but I co-host a podcast on a TV show from the 80s called Remington Steele. And in the episode we will be recording this week, they come across a counterfeit album by a band called Cool Fire. I know you formed in 2016, but I was curious as to where you got your name, as it's kind of a neat coincidence. And they responded with, we just made up the name. Someone saw another band that also had some kind of hot, cold blend of words, and we played off of that. We're purely a local garage band playing just for fun around our community. And I'm assuming there's no conflict here, certainly not from our side. And I said, no. We just thought it was interesting. And we were curious as to where you got the name. So shout out to them for responding and letting us know how they got their name, because that was kind of cool.
Yes,
cool
and
flyer.
if you're ever in a garage, listen for them to be playing somewhere nearby.
Yeah, coming to a garage near you.
That's right. Oh, yes. Anyway, do we have anything else that we need to cover here at the beginning? I can't think of anything.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then let's get on to the episode. We are looking at Steel Incorporated, and it first aired on January 14, 1986, written by Brad Kern and directed by Don Weiss. Yep. Yes. Went with TV Guide listing because it pretty much sums up everything that we need to know.
Pretty much.
George E. Mulch strikes again when he opens a branch office of Remington Steele Investigations without anyone's knowledge and botches a case so badly that the angry clients want to kill Steele.
To be fair, and this is the only correction I will make to that, it's not George that botches the case. It's the guy that he hired to work at the branch agency that botches the case. But still, the rest of it's accurate.
Yes, but if he was acting as Remington Steele on George's behalf, and you can kind of stretch it. Anyway,
yeah.
One thing before we get into the actual details of the episode, I normally, when I'm making my notes, skip past the introductory, what's the word?
Credits,
montage.
Credit song. Oh, yeah.
And then I skip over the introduction and music.
So do I.
Which, for some reason, I didn't do that this time. And I realized something. And I went back and I checked previous episodes. And beginning with the last episode, Steel on the Air, it's the same theme music, but they've slowed it back down to close to the original tempo. So, I mean, it's still got the space guns in there. The boo, 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 boo.
I like the space guns.
But they've slowed it down, and I don't know why. It's just, it is. There you go.
Maybe they got feedback from the network or something saying people don't like the new theme.
My only thought was that the scripts were coming in a little bit short time-wise. And so they slowed down the theme music just enough to give them a few more seconds of the show. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, we start out. It's night, and we are outside the Transway Bus Lines Depot at 1123 Union Street. We see a good-looking, tall, slender black man with a mustache come from behind the corner of a building. He is nicely but somewhat casually dressed, wearing slacks and a dress jacket, but no tie and an unbuttoned collared shirt. He is also smoking a cigarette.
Which is usually, it's interesting because that's usually something reserved for villains on television and movies. You usually see the bad guys smoking because smoking is edgy and bad and whatever. So I just thought that was kind of funny.
And the women love the bad boys.
Sure.
Which could explain why I had such terrible luck with women in high school and college and the rest of my life. You know?
Yeah, you totally should have destroyed your lungs, and that way you'd...
Anyway, after a moment, he reaches inside to his jacket pocket. It's the inside jacket pocket, and pulls out a locker key that says 444 Transway. Man walks to the bus depot and enters. Inside, he looks over the lockers trying to find 444. And once he finds it, he inserts the key, opens the door, finds an envelope thick with its contents, and setting on a package wrapped in brown paper. He pulls out the items, tucks the box wrapped in brown paper under his arm, and then glancing around to ensure he isn't being watched, opens the envelope and pulls out a stack of bills. He counts the money, slips it back into the envelope, and then slides the envelope back into the inside pocket of his jacket. He opens the door to locker 445, immediately below 444.
I was confused.
You had a confession?
Well, no. Usually locker numbers go sideways, do they not? it's kind of weird that 445 would be below. I would have thought it would have been the side.
I don't know.
4, but I don't know. That's just weird.
I don't know. It could just be, different brands of locker assemblies, number of them differently. I don't know. It's
really not that important. I actually went back to the first scene when Mildred notes the number on it. I was like, what, 445? Wasn't it 444? And then when I went back and looked at it, I'm like, why is that not 44? And then it took, anyway, that's where my squirrel brain went, and I just had to put it out there, but ignore me.
And it took you out of the episode, and for the rest of the episode, you were just totally ruined because you were concentrating on this locker thing.
Normally I wouldn't be, but ever since we started making notes for this stupid thing, that's the kind of stuff I notice. So it's your fault.
Anyway, yes, he opens the door to locker 445, which is immediately below 444, inserts the package, drops 3/4 into the slot, then closes the door and removes the key, again, looking around, checking on his privacy. He reaches into his jacket and pulls out an envelope from the other side of his jacket from where he placed the envelope with the money. He drops the locker key into it, seals it, and then walks to a mail drop box just outside of the main doors of the depot, then drops that envelope into the drop box. He then begins to casually walk away down the sidewalk in front of the depot and away from the building. Next, we see a car. It's stationary. Lights off. Parked. The headlights come on. The man continues to walk, smoking a cigarette. Suddenly, there's a screech of tires from behind the man, and then we see the car hurtling toward him. The man turns, sees the car, throws his arms up in the air as if trying to prevent the inevitable. The screen goes blank as we hear the sound of impact.
I always find it funny when they throw their hands up in the air instead of, jumping out of the way. Like, no, don't hit me. Ah.
I've noticed this trend. It's not really related to that directly, but I mean, it's similar. I'll come up to an intersection and stop because someone's crossing in the crosswalk, and they will give me this dirty look, and they will shove their hand out in that little stop motion, and just glower at me like, ugh. It's like, what, do you think I'm stupid? I was already stopped anyway.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm going to wait for you to get in front of my car and then I'm going to hit the gas and run you over. I don't need the attitude from people who don't need to give the attitude.
The only time I've done that is when someone has almost hit me. Like I'm crossing and then someone makes a left turn and like almost hits you and you have to like jump out of the way. Then I will point to the little sign and I'll be like, and if their window's down, I will yell something, not something I can yell.
Not fit for publication
on this podcast, but I will yell it at them because there have been a couple of times where people haven't been looking for pedestrians and have just started to turn. But if they're already stopped, there's no point in like pointing like it says.
Well, even if they're slowing down, there's no point in it. I mean, you can tell when a car is slowing down to stop
when
for
they're
you.
slowing
It's
down
not
to stop,
like.
I mean, when I've had to actively like move out of the way because they're not looking where they're going.
Yeah. Wait, you're supposed to look where you're going when you're driving?
Yeah, apparently so. And apparently if you see a car coming at you, it's better to jump out of the way if you can, mind you, than to throw up your arms and just get run down.
Why has nobody told me this before?
I
know. Anyway, we're at the agency and we see a closed office door.
I love this scene.
It slowly opens, stops part way, and then Mildred and Laura lean their heads in through the door. They see Steele at his desk reading his paper. They look at each other, seemingly puzzled. And then Steele, perhaps sensing more than seeing them, slowly moves his paper to one side, giving him the opportunity to look at the two women. Mildred quickly reaches for the door and pulls it shut.
I feel like that little bit right there was literally like created. I mean, obviously the internet didn't exist yet, but like internet GIFs, like that, or GIFs, or however you pronounce that. That's the perfect one. That is the perfect one. The two like poking their heads in, him seeing them, lowering the paper, shutting the door. Like that is the perfect. Anyway.
Well, Steele frowns, puzzled. Then he returns to his paper. The door again slowly opens, and the two women repeat their performance of leaning in and looking at Steele. This time, Steele lowers the paper to look at the women over the top of it. Laura raises her hand, index finger extended, and slowly gives the come here gesture with her finger. When Steele raises his eyebrows in a sort of me question, Laura's finger becomes more animated. Steele folds his paper, lets out a sigh, and looks at the women with a look of annoyance. And Mildred again hastily grabs the door and pulls it closed.
They shut it. I don't get. Oh, it's just so cute. That's just such a cute, like, visual gag of the two of them and him, and just it lets you know. And it's actually quite brilliant because it lets you know that something's going on
without a word being said.
Yeah, like something is up, and we don't know what it is. We don't know what it has to do with him. We don't know if he's involved or he created it or anything. Nothing. We just okay. Something's going on.
Something's going on. Yeah. Well, next we see the rabbit traveling the highways and byways of Southern California, and in the midst of the sequence, we see a highway sign directing traffic to San Diego. We then get a sequence of scenes highlighting various favorite entertainments, amusements, and recreational activities apparently associated with San Diego. I wouldn't know because I have not been there.
I have been to San Diego. Okay, so I have two stories. One I will tell now and one I will tell later when it becomes relevant, because something that Steele says makes it relevant.
Now, boys and girls, it's story time with Sara.
Well, no. This isn't a long story. Just that I went to San Diego, and we did see a bunch of these attractions, including the San Diego Zoo, which was really cool because one of the pandas had just been born or something like that at the time, and we got to see it, and that was fun. So that was my story there. But there's another one that is more relevant later on when Steele makes a comment about something that's kind of a funnier story. So
okay.
Yeah. It's a nice place.
Well, then we see a shot of a wall outside of a building with the words medical examiner's facilities mounted to it.
Yeah, I can honestly say I didn't get to visit that particular tourist attraction.
Why not?
Just didn't have time,
Yeah.
So much to see and do.
Well, inside, a morgue technician opens a door to a slide-out body rack, pulls the rack out, and we see the face of the man that we saw earlier at the bus depot. We then see Steele, Laura, and Mildred standing behind the pull-out rack, the woman technician at the head. And I'll say it again. I love Laura's hair in this. I've said it before that
really good.
My wife used to wear her hair this way, and before it started giving her headaches, and I loved it on her. And maybe that's why I'm so partial to the style. It just reminds me of her. But
Aww, that's sweet.
Anyway, that happens to me a lot. I'll see somebody, a woman walking or something, and there'll be something about them, and it'll just be like, it reminds me of my wife. I don't know. Sometimes it's totally undecipherable, but something about them will remind me of her.
No,
anyway,
her hair looks really nice. I love her in a braid. It looks super cute.
Yeah. Anyway, Steele leans over to inspect the deceased. He straightens, clears his throat, and then turns to Laura and comments, call me an optimist, but I would have thought an impulsive jaunt to San Diego would lead to somewhat more kind of a lively attraction. And Laura shakes her head in confusion, saying more than asking, you don't recognize this man? Steele leans forward, takes another look, and straightens up and says, should I? And Laura turns to the technician, asks her to tell her friend, suspiciously doesn't use his name. Yeah. So right there, we got a clue that something's weird here.
Yeah.
Tell her friend exactly what it was that the technician had earlier told Laura on the phone. Well, the woman, apparently not seeing any great significance in the information, says that all she told her was that they had a hit-and-run victim. And what did you say the victim's name was? Laura prompts. Looking at the paperwork, the woman reads, Steele, Remington Steele. And Steele gives a bemused, almost drunk-sounding chuckle. And seeing Laura's look, you realize, okay, maybe that response is somewhat inappropriate. So he tries to disguise it by making it into a clearing my throat sound. Still, he can't resist being somewhat flippant as he comments, distant cousin, perhaps, but I'm afraid I have to deny any closer relationship than that.
So there's two. This is again one of those Mulch. Oh, Mulch. This is one of those Mulch episodes where, like, you can see the parts of this that might have been a good idea, and then all the ways it went wrong. And the first way that this went wrong is well, I think the obvious way would be not telling them about it. But if you were
you
to branch, like if you were to create franchise your office, you wouldn't have somebody pretending to be Remington Steele at every office. That would get pretty obvious pretty quickly that was not the real person. And to be fair, there isn't a real person, but still, like, they don't know that. So, like, you wouldn't have somebody pretending to be Remington Steele at the branch. They would just be a team of hired private investigators that have been personally hired by Steele, who are, vetted by...
Or maybe not even that. I mean, how many Jackson Hewitt employees...
Okay.
Are hired and vetted by Jackson Hewitt.
At least that's what the public would assume, right?
Okay,
so
true.
They wouldn't assume that they were actually meeting with Remington Steele both in San Diego, San Francisco, Detroit, Dallas. Like, that wouldn't happen that way. So
he gets
Mulch,
around.
like, what are you doing, Mulch?
All
like,
over
you don't
town.
want your people pretending to be Steele. You just want to have them, like, being private investigators working for the franchised offices of Remington Steele. So that's one of the mistakes that Mulch makes here, which is makes for a hilarious episode, and also kind of shows the mulchness of this plan, the mulchiness, the mulch extravaganza, whatever you want to call it. Because, like, again, good idea, bad execution.
You can see the wheels coming off faster than yeah.
Oh, Mulch.
Anyway, Laura's not amused at Steele's attempt at levity, and she scolds him, saying that this could be a serious matter. Mildred says, yeah, just ask him, pointing to the dead man.
Right?
And Laura, apparently mistaking Mildred's somewhat legitimate point for inappropriate levity, scolds her as well. Well, Steele clearly thinks that Laura's taking the matter far too seriously, suggesting, as the deceased in question, I love that line, that it's reasonable to assume that this is just mere coincidence.
Have they forgotten about Lester Shane? They know how much damage something like this can do, right?
Yeah. Well, but see, this episode was being written while that one was still in production.
Yeah,
so, well, Laura does see the matter differently, apparently still remembering Lester.
Yeah.
And acknowledging that perhaps she is being slightly pessimistic of the notion of a coincidence, but insisting that the deceased could have been impersonating Steele. And Steele looks at the corpse, glances around at the others as if trying to understand the joke.
Yeah, right.
And tells Laura that it is highly unlikely. I mean, yeah.
I think he's looking at the man's outfit and thinking, well, I mean, I dress better, so he's clearly not.
Well, there's also the skin color issue.
That too. But to be honest, though, I think that would be the first thing Steele thinks of is like, well, his suit doesn't cost $500, so he's clearly not impersonating me. I think the skin color would be secondary for him.
Yeah. Well, Laura turns to the technician, asking if there were any other identifying effects with the man's body, such as credit cards, pictures, business cards, or whatnot. Woman shrugs, just an address on a piece of paper that his name was on. And she again reviews the paper on the clipboard, and then gives Laura the address as the Bay Building, Suite 101. And a horrified look of recognition crosses Mildred's face, and she begins choking. Laura rushes over to provide assistance if needed, asking Mildred if she's okay. Steele also asks if she's okay, but Mildred waves her hand away. Steele persists. Is she sure she's okay? She's looking a bit pale.
Yeah.
And Steele leads Mildred to a chair, instructing her to sit. And then as Mildred is trying to gather her wits and control her coughing, Laura asks the tech where the Bay Building is located. Mission Bay, the woman says, about 15 minutes away, 20 minutes tops. Mildred groans, covering her mouth with her hand.
So we never really find out. We know that she knows about Mulch's idea because obviously they spoke at some point. We never really find out how she connects the building to...
Yeah, we do.
We do?
Yeah.
I must have missed that.
Yeah, it's in there.
Okay. All right. You point it out to me when we get there because I was looking for that and I guess I missed it.
Anyway, Steele tells Laura that they should, no pun intended, let sleeping dogs lie. But ignoring Steele, Laura leans down to Mildred and begins to direct her to stand, suggesting that fresh air will make her feel better. Mildred says no, she really just should sit here for a while and urges Laura and Steele to go ahead and check out the address. Now, Laura's aghast, telling her that they certainly aren't going to just leave her there. But Mildred insists. Reluctantly, Laura and Steele agree to Mildred's terms, with Laura assuring her that they will be back just as soon as they can. As they start to leave, Steele hesitates and then asks the technician what time they close. Grinning, the technician says that they service the community 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just like 7-Eleven. Have you ever wondered why 7-Eleven has locks on their front door?
Yeah. She's so proud of this too, though. I like her, like what the pride she takes in her work is admirable.
Well, I think she just thinks it's a funny joke.
Yeah.
I mean, the morgue, you'd think a detective would know that a morgue doesn't close.
You would think. Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad used to, if he wanted to like be silly, he used to sometimes answer the phone saying like, "City morgue, you stab them, we slab them." Stuff like that.
Well, what was another one? Roadkill Cafe, you kill them, we grill them.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
But anyway, at the woman's comments, Laura seems to be horrified at the gallows
and Steele
humor.
kind of like, he just sort of grimaces, like he's like, ugh.
Yeah. Neither one of them took well to the joke, but I mean, I thought it was a good line.
I thought it was. I would have laughed.
Yeah. Of course, there are places maybe I should clarify. There are places in the country that do not have 7-Elevens, and they are a 24-hour day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year convenience store that has locks on their front door.
Well, what's funny about this is when we moved to Belmont, which is, like I said, a little village just outside of London, Ontario, there was a independently owned convenience store there that was called 7-Eleven. And it was obviously referencing the hours that they were open.
Which is actually what 7-Eleven started out as, is 7 a.m. to 11 at night.
But what was funny about 7-Eleven is that they would frequently change their hours, so that was completely irrelevant. Like, it got to the point where it was like, if they feel like opening, they're open. Because we never knew. We would go up and be like, oh, no, they're closed. Okay. It's 2 p.m. Sure.
That reminds me, in Portland, there was in the Northwest, there's a chain of convenience stores competing with all these other brands. It's called Plaid Pantry. And I think it was a Plaid Pantry location in Portland on, it's like 102nd and Division or 102nd Stark, somewhere in up in that area. And I used to call it those kind of places generically Stop and Robs. And this one location had like a 4-0, 5-0 record.
Oof.
People coming in to rob the place and not succeeding.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oof. Okay.
You think that after the first or second time they would learn, but no, they just kept coming back and they just kept mowing them down. Anyway,
terrible.
As soon as Steele and Laura are out of the door, Mildred is up like a shot. She rushes over to the technician and in a voice that's strong and clearly recovered, desperately asks if they have a back door out of there. The woman points out the other door, sending Mildred off at a run. Next, we are at an outdoor dining area of a presumably fancy restaurant. Mildred comes in under a decorative arch, looking around. Her jaw drops, and then we see what she sees. George Edward Mulch, cigar in hand, seated at a table with several other men. Mildred's attitude quickly changes from disbelief to highly put out, and she rushes over to the table as Mulch is ordering. "Oysters baked," he points to one of the men. "Oysters on the half shell," pointing to another of the men, "and oysters Rockefeller, and some of the Don Peregrine, and just a smidge of your finest caviar."
I love him attempting to be Steele, or not like necessarily attempting to be Steele, but like acting
sophisticated.
Steele,
highbrow.
yeah, exactly how he thinks Steele acts. Because to be fair, he's not wrong. Steele would sit there and order all the fancy seafood and the Dom Perignon and the 73 if you have it or whatever it is he would say. But like Mulch just has this air about him that says, "I don't know what I'm doing."
Oh, yeah.
And so it sounds ridiculous. He can't even pronounce Dom Perignon, and it's just so funny. He's trying so hard.
He's just so overdone.
Yeah.
Well, Next, Mildred declares, George Mulch, with a sharp tone in her voice as she reaches the table, just as Mulch is finishing his ordering. And Mulch, not recognizing the pending disaster that is about to befall him, stands and greets her with excitement, asking what she's doing down here. Then, without a pause, he turns to the men at the table and in a breathless tone says, Gentlemen, this is Mildred Krebs. And Mildred is clearly conflicted, wanting to smile,
Yes,
recognizing that Mulch is about to sing her praises, while at the same time wanting to kill the man.
Yeah, well, singing her praises would seal her doom. So it's kind of like that.
Yeah. And it's like she's undecided which to do first. Well, she reaches up, grabs the lapel of his jacket, jerks on it, trying to get him under control. But Mulch is like a hungry dog with the smell of fresh meat in its nostrils, and overpowering the human on the other end of the leash, he charges on. This is the lady I was telling you about, the hub of the organization, the foundation of the structure, the backbone of the skeleton. Mildred, may I introduce Dallas? Dallas stands up, as do the other two men. Detroit and San Francisco. And as Mulch introduces them, each in turn, they greet Mildred, who at the conclusion tells them that it's a pleasure to meet them. And then sliding her hand back up the lapel of Mulch's jacket, briefly grabbing it, and through not quite gritted teeth, asks, it's sarcasm quotes, if she could confer with him in private. Mulch, still not realizing the trouble he's in and not understanding the reason for Mildred's attitude, finally recognizes that he might have a slight situation to deal with.
Yeah.
Especially since Mildred's hand has moved from the lapel of his jacket to his arm and is squeezing it in a manner that sends the message, you're in big trouble, mister.
She's ready to strangle him in broad daylight. And then say she
Witnesses be hanged.
Yeah, exactly.
Conferences, George tells the men with false humor. Then he tells the waiter, hold my oysters, Rockefeller, for the nuns. And then, with false piety, tells the waiter, bless you. Mildred begins to literally drag him across the room. And Mulch is frustrated. He asks, Mildred, why such a long face on such a happy occasion? She angrily reaches out with both hands, grabs him by both lapels, pulling him toward her, putting her face right into his, and hisses, how could you? Mulch, still oblivious to the depth of the doo-doo he stepped in, stupidly asks, something's the matter? The guy's so dense.
He is so dense. I just Googled this because I wanted to know what Oysters Rockefeller was. And it is a classic rich New Orleans appetizer, apparently, featuring oysters on the half shell topped with a savory green sauce of spinach, butter, herbs, such as parsley and breadcrumbs, then baked or broiled until bubbly and golden, often served with lemon. Named for the wealthy John D. Rockefeller due to its richness, an elegant dish invented in 1889 at Antoine's restaurant and remains popular for special occasions. So there it is. For anybody who's wondering, like I was, what the heck is Oysters Rockefeller? It's that.
Apparently, yes. Well, back at the morgue, we once again see the tray being pulled out and our not quite dead doppelganger. Or our dead, not quite doppelganger.
I was going to say, he's pretty dead. He's dead.
Yes. I did a dyslexia thing where I read the things out of order. Anyway, this time it's Mildred and Mulch looking on. Mulch stares in disbelief and then in shock asks, Larry? Then after a moment, mournfully cries, Larry, Larry, Larry. Mildred is unimpressed by Mulch's seemingly emotional distress, and she flatly states, I think we've established his name, and then harshly says, who is he? Mulch, though distraught, is aware enough to equivocate, saying that he was a business associate, excitedly explaining that he was superb at getting exactly what anybody wanted. He got Mulch some, and Mulch hesitates, and then less enthusiastically finishes, some office furniture. Although, and he looks at Larry disapprovingly, shaking his finger at the dead man, scolding him that he thinks the pieces were a tad warm. And then as an aside to Mildred adds, if you catch my meaning. Mildred is perplexed. Certainly, Mulch's explanation raises more questions than it answers, but it doesn't answer the important question. What is he doing here registered under the name of Remington Steele, she asks. Mulch looks back and forth between Larry and Mildred several times. Surprise clearly registered on his face as he exclaims, "He is?" Mildred gives him a pointed look of disbelief, then tells him to come on as she begins heading toward the door.
So this actually kind of goes against what I said earlier about Mulch. Okay, this makes you wonder. Did Mulch just hire them to work there and tell them to be Remington Steele, or did he hire them to work there and they just decided to be Remington Steele? Because he seemed surprised that he was using the name Remington Steele, but at the same time, like, I would not, if I were interviewing to work at a branch office of Remington Steele Investigations franchise, I wouldn't assume that they were interviewing me to be Remington Steele. Like, I would assume I was just being interviewed to be
I think, and it's not explained. It's not explained at all. There's really nothing in terms of solid clues to use to build an explanation. But my guess is we know that Mulch hired him to acquire some office furniture. And I'm guessing that Larry recognized what was going on, that Mulch was setting up this office, Remington Steele Investigations. It probably talked about it, especially since Mulch needed specific pieces to match what was in the Los Angeles office.
Right.
So Larry had a clue what was going on. Larry decided to cut himself in on the action. George didn't know this.
Okay.
That's my theory, is that...
So if that's the case, George's mistake here is really poor hiring and vetting of your people.
Yeah. That would be a fair assumption there, yes. But yeah, I think Larry just saw an opportunity and took advantage of it. Anyway, Mulch grabs Mildred's arm, demanding to know where they're going now. And Mildred leans forward, getting again slightly into his face, and firmly says, "Bay Building, Suite 101. "Oh," Mulch says offhandedly. Then, realizing the significance of her words, repeats his response in a much different tone. That of a kid who just realized he got caught and isn't going to be able to get out of it.
He's in a lot of trouble.
Yes. Laura and Steele are in the Rabbit as they arrive at a parking lot at a building next to a boat marina, with Laura observing that this must be it. Steele, who is pondering the tourist map, optimistically suggests that once they nip her suspicions in the bud, they take in some of the sights, maybe go pearl diving at the zoo, water skiing in the bay, maybe even pop down to Tijuana, get the Rabbit reupholstered, eh?
Here's my story.
And you're sticking to it.
No, because while we were in San Diego, at the hotel we were staying at, or it might have been a motel, I don't know, we met this other family, and they were American from somewhere else in the U.S., but they had traveled down to, well, they were staying in San Diego, but the reason for their traveling down was to go over into Tijuana to have medical treatments for Lyme disease. Because there were apparently clinics, and I Googled this because I wanted to see like what sorts of treatments were. Anyway, there were treatments available in Tijuana for Lyme that were not available in the U.S. or not FDA approved or whatever, right? And the girl was about my age, and I was 23 at the time, and she told me that the doctor that was treating her for Lyme was a Nobel Prize winner. Now, I have Googled the crap out of this to see, I just took her at her word at the time, because why wouldn't you? According to everything that I Googled and could not find any information on any Nobel Prize winners that have worked in Tijuana. So that part was potentially a load of crap. But there are a lot of clinics in Tijuana that specialize in Lyme. And I went with her the one day. She said, "Why don't you come with us? We'll go to Tijuana and you can come and see this." So we walked over the border. And this was, so I was in my 20s. So this would have been 2003-ish, I think. Something like that. And we literally walked over the border. They didn't even ask to see, a passport. I didn't even have a driver's license at the time, because in Canada, when you start the process of getting your license, if you don't get it within 5 years, it expires. You have to start all over again. And I just never fully got it until I was much older. I let it go. So at that point, I had what was called an age of majority card, which is basically like you send your paperwork in to prove that you're over 19. It's to buy liquor and stuff. And they give you this little card that you can present to LCBOs and liquor stores and whatever to say, yes, I am 19, but I know I don't have a driver's license. So I had that on me, and I showed them that, and they were like, yeah, go ahead. And then so we went into Tijuana. We got to sit on the donkey. We tried some tequila with the worm in it and all the usual stuff. And then we went to this clinic, and I got to meet this doctor that was treating her, supposedly Nobel Prize winner, but probably not. And then when we came back, again, walked right into the U.S. Like they didn't ask for any credentials. They were like, "Oh, you're Canadian? Go ahead, go on." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." So it was like, this was obviously. But what the weird thing about this was post 9/11. This was not a pre 9/11 situation, right? Where border situations were being toughened up, they were just like, "Nah, come on in. You're Canadian. We trust you." So it was such a weird experience to walk across a border. I'd never done that before, and to go to this clinic and see. And I looked up to see what clinics are there, and there are a bunch. Biomedical Advanced Center. Now, I don't know which one I went to. I couldn't tell you, but there's the Bio Advanced Medical Center, Immunity Therapy Center, Lyme Mexico Clinic, Holistic Care Center. And basically, a lot of these clinics offer types of therapies that are like something called therapeutic apheresis, which is like a blood cleaning procedure. There's hyperthermia, which is a process that induces an artificial fever to simulate the body's natural defense mechanisms. Stem cell therapy, IV therapies, oxidative medicine. I don't know if any of them work, but it was just an interesting experience that I thought I would share. It's not something you usually think of when you think of Tijuana.
Yeah, there's places just inside the border across into Mexico that used to be like that, where you could go across. You didn't really need to provide any kind of documentation. You just went across, because I think what it was that the customs facilities going into Mexico were on the other sides of these communities, because these communities wanted to take advantage of the American dollars.
Right.
So, there used to be those. I don't know if it's still the case where you can do that into those places. I suspect not, but
probably not.
Yeah, my father-in-law went into Mexico somewhere to get dentures made, because it was a fraction of the price of having it done in the U.S.
My dad got his teeth fixed in Cuba. Similar thing. Like they replaced them all, and or no, it might have been Mexico actually. They used to spend like winters there. So yeah.
Well, anyway, at Steele's suggestions of recreation and entertainment, Laura suggests that he pay attention, because she needs to remind him that he may have been murdered last night. Which is another great line. As they walk up to the main door of the building, Steele, undeterred, tells her that shouldn't impede them having a good time.
Wow.
I mean, Weekend at Bernie's, right? Then after a pause, asks if she's ever been kissed by a sperm whale. And in a saucy, suggestive tone and with a mischievous grin, tells him, not without protection. And
I love that line.
I'm kind of surprised that one got passed, but anyway.
I love that line. That's a good one.
She opens the door and enters while Steele stands pondering whose whales she might have been kissing, and if she was only kissing them, or why would she need protection if she's only kissing them?
He looks like he's trying to figure out whether it was like her flirting or whether she was shooting him down. Like it looks like he's not really sure whether that was an invitation or a no.
Something just flashed into my head. I don't think I should say it.
Probably not.
Probably not. Inside they walk the hall to Suite 101. They stop at the door, and Laura seems to be contemplating knocking, and then simply opens it.
That would be new, knocking. She usually doesn't do that.
Yeah, except if it's a business.
Yeah, you don't really.
You might typically expect to just be able to walk in, but she probably should have knocked, but she didn't. Just decided to barge in. She enters, followed by Steele, and of course they immediately freeze, stunned. They are back in their own office, or more correctly, an exact reproduction of their own office. Same layout, same brightly colored red doors, same reception desk, computer, filing cabinet, chairs, couch, painting on the wall, plants around the room. Everything is exactly duplicated down to the smallest detail. Frightfully, Laura asks, why do I get the uneasy feeling Rod Serling is behind one of those doors?
And host of the Twilight Zone, for those who don't know. But this is genius in the sense that they wouldn't have to have created a different set for this. They could just use the one that they had.
That's right.
And that works just fine. They had to obviously do something with the doors, but I'm sure that wasn't that hard to just put different doors on there and
the front
for
doors,
the episode and then take them off again. So this is quite funny that they're just using their regular set.
Uneasily, Steele comments that he'd rather find Rod Serling than any other Remington Steele. And they cautiously walk toward their own offices. We see Laura reach the door to hers. Kind of hers. The sort fake hers. She pauses, then throws the door open as if expecting to surprise whomever might be inside. She peers in, looks around, as if expecting somebody to suddenly burst into the room and demand to know why she's intruded, unwelcomed and uninvited. And she slowly steps toward the desk after carefully treading as if stepping on wet stones in a river, trying to ensure that her footing is solid.
It must be really surreal to walk into your, it's like seeing your living room reproduced and just sitting there,
Yeah, but the way she walks, it's kind of like she's afraid she's going to fall over or disappear into the black hole. When she reaches the desk, she reaches out and touches a tall desk lamp made of pink glass. She taps her fingers on it, assuring herself that, yes, it is real. And in the transcript that I have from the Steele Incorporated website, or the Steele in Love website, it's listed as Korea. I think that's the pronunciation, Korea glass or a Korea lamp, Correa.
Yeah, in my head, I was hearing it as Korea, but...
Okay, that could be correct. I
don't know. You could be right, too. Who knows?
I looked it up, and they are... I didn't put it in my notes, but yeah, there's a whole series of lamps made by this guy that are apparently very, very...
Yeah, I've got
high-end pieces.
You told me to find information, so.
Oh yeah.
And this is kind of interesting because I for when you asked me, I had no idea what you're talking about or why, and then I was making my notes, and I'm like, oh, there's the lamp. I know why he was.
I've never. I don't recall ever seeing this lamp in an episode before this.
And this is I think a really interesting detail because the person who created these lamps, Stephen V. Correa, I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it, was born in San Diego. He attended San Diego State University, University of Hawaii, and then it says he became a vital influence in the modern glass movement. He's one of a select group of American artists working in glass who have achieved international prominence. His hand-blown glass artworks, or art glass works, are in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Corning Museum, the Smithsonian Museum, the Chrysler Museum of Art, the Kentucky Derby Museum, and numerous private collections. In 1984, he was honored for his extraordinary accomplishments as an artist with the naming of Stephen V. Correa Junior High School. He continuously works to support and enhance visual and performing arts in the school. So I'm assuming this was like a nod to him because this was only, 2 years after that happened? And it says here that currently he designs custom sculptures from optical crystal. Numerous internationally distinguished corporations, organizations, and private collectors have commissioned Mr. Correa to create art pieces that are given as awards or gifts to symbolize outstanding corporate and achievements. In addition to his glass, he's expanded into creating large-scale environmental kinetic light sculpture, as well as his audio and visual performance art. So this was just neat that, I didn't even think to look at it because I guess you noticed the lamp. I didn't notice the lamp. But yeah, this was probably because he was a local artist and that he had achieved quite a bit of prominence at that point that they snuck that lamp in there, and Laura tapping it would have been sort of indicating to us this is different. This is not normally in our office.
See, I took it to mean the opposite. I took it to mean that it is something that's normally in her office, but she understands and recognizes the uniqueness of it, and she's tapping it to see, is this a really still another one by this same person, or is this a fake? That's how I took it.
Okay.
I mean, you could be right. You could be right.
Because you pointed it out to me. It's literally only because you pointed it out to me, because I would have just assumed otherwise, oh yeah, she's tapping it because that's there. But because you pointed it out and then I looked into it and saw that he was from San Diego, I thought, oh, is this like their little Easter egg, a way of them putting this in there to be like the one thing that's different because it's from an artist that's from San Diego. So they're like, we'll put this lamp in there. I don't know.
And so she's
yeah. And so she's
touching
tapping
it
it like,
to
okay, wait,
figure
this is
out
different.
this is not normal
Yeah.
now. Okay.
That was
That could be. Different interpretations.
indeed.
Well, she looks about for a few more moments, her face taking on a cautiously determined look, then walks to the connecting door and opens it. She finds Steele in his office behind his desk, standing. He gestures and comments that, well, at least the view's different. She crosses her arms, steps forward to Steele, and then demands, all right, let's have it. And Steele, who's been looking out the window, turns and asks, have what? Well, Laura isn't buying his innocent act. Don't try to play innocent with me. This is right up your alley, she insists.
Okay, so to quote Captain America, the other Captain America, not the Chris Evans, the Anthony Mackie Captain America.
You lost me.
She's out of line, but she's not wrong. You know, like this is right up his alley. This kind of thing is literally, it's got Remington Steele scheme stamped all over it in big blinking letters.
Yes,
And I feel bad
flashing
for Steele
lights.
because it's one of the few times he's genuinely innocent. And she's just like, yeah, no, this is you. You did this. Come on.
Well,
I wasn't born yesterday.
Yeah. Steele assures her that he is as much in the dark about all of this as she is. And she coldly tells him that she stood behind him when he thought he was being framed for murder. She appreciated the circumstances involved when he lost their investigator's license.
Did she? Did she?
Well,
I
was
don't think
going
she did.
hang on, just let me finish this, and then I'll make my comment, and then you can make yours. She even believed him when it appeared as though he'd gambled away the agency in a poker game, but not this. And my note here is, wait a minute, Laura, one of those was her fault. She was responsible for the agency losing their license because she didn't want to deal with the things she was responsible for dealing with, dumping it off onto others who had no authority or ability to deal with them.
Well, I mean, if we're really being fair here, neither one of them were responsible because they were going to lose it no matter what. However,
well,
if it were something
That's
legitimate,
true.
then yes, you are correct. So, yeah, my notes were, did she? And he didn't lose it. Like, he was not the one that lost their agency license. That guy was going to take it regardless of who got involved. However, it was still her responsibility, not his. So
Yep.
putting that one on him is kind of unfair.
Yes. Well, Steele protests that he is as innocent about this but he doesn't get to finish. The sound of a door interrupts. A man, probably in his late 30s, perhaps early 40s, looking like an over-the-hill surfer dude, enters and asks for Remington Steele. Steele admits that he is Steele. And without warning, the man punches Steele in the face, knocking him back onto the desk, and then pulls a gun and points it at Laura. As Steele recovers, the man grabs his arm, positions Steele in front of him in between himself and Laura. And with the gun near Steele's head, the man says that Steele has exactly 1 hour to come up with some answers, or he's a dead man. Steele asks if the man's last name would happen to be Serling. He tells Steele and Laura to move it. And as they walk single file through the door to the outer office, Steele turns his head to complain to Laura about, he hit me.
This line is beyond adorable. I absolutely love this. Just the way he hit me, Laura. Like he's so he's so confused. He doesn't know why someone's impersonating him, why he's being accused, and now someone's hitting him. Like, give him a lollipop and let him go and sit down, you know?
Well, next we see Laura and Steele in the back of a limo, their captor sitting across from them. And they soon arrive at a very large estate where they exit and are directed inside. Inside, they are led downstairs to a large room where an old woman in a wheelchair is brought in by a young woman. The old woman tells the young woman, Vicky by name, daughter by profession, to run along. Mummy has some business to attend to. You are
okay.
dismissed.
Okay. This woman looks like 90. How old was she when she had Vicky?
Could be
Because
adopted.
Vicky doesn't look to be, well, true. Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But if it was her biological child, Vicky looks about 30 tops.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the math going, I don't think that's possible.
Well, yeah, that's true. Vicky doesn't look real happy at being dismissed like some worthless servant. Laura and Steele are directed to sit. The old woman holds up her hand and waggles her finger, a silent command to Surfer Dude to push her wheelchair up next to the couch where Laura and Steele are sitting. The woman then brusquely insists that they get right to the point. Absolutely, Mrs. Steele leaves the salutation uncompleted. Underwood, she supplies, adding that it's a name that historically has not taken kindly to betrayal. Who does? Steele flatly says.
Fair. That's fair.
When I hired you, she begins, and Steele interrupts, asking, when you hired me? When I talked to you on the phone, she clarifies. Steele inquires, we spoke on the telephone? And she's becoming agitated, accusing Steele of playing games with her. No, absolutely not, he says condescendingly. And Laura jumps in, introducing herself as Mr. Steele's associate, states that, well, he hasn't had the opportunity to fill her in. So what exactly did she hire him to do? Pick up a package is the ambiguous response. What was in the package, Steele asks. None of your business, she says. I even told you that on the phone. Yes, my apologies, Steele tells her insincerely, making the excuse that, sometimes their caseload can be somewhat overwhelming. Well, why does Mrs. Underwood think that Mr. Steele betrayed her, Laura asks. She says she paid him $5,000 to pick up the package for her at a locker. He took the money, but he did not deliver. She adamantly states that she will not tolerate being blackmailed for more money, and they will not leave this house until she gets that package. And Steele coldly says that sounds very much like a threat.
The man's got a gun, so I think we're past that whole process of a threat.
Yeah, well, Surfer Dude, who's standing behind Mrs. Underwood's chair, reaches inside his jacket and pulls out his pistol again, reminding Steele that it's there, and causing Steele to admit, in a more conciliatory tone, that it's a pretty good threat as threats go. And looking over to Laura, he asks if she has any thoughts. Laura shakes her head and then turns forward, saying that she only has one thought. And then turning her head toward Mrs. Underwood, she asks for the woman's forgiveness. Annoyed, the older woman asks, for what? For this, Laura says, as she leans over, grabs the front of the wheelchair and shoves it back into the Surfer Dude, knocking him down and giving Laura and Steele the opportunity to jump over the back of the couch. While Surfer Dude falls, he reflexively fires off a shot into the ceiling as he's falling, and his body is acting instinctively as he's trying to catch himself. Mrs. Underwood turns in her chair and yells at Surfer Dude, not in the house!
Yeah, that's probably like marble flooring or something like that. It's funny, though, when you have to yell, not in the house.
Yeah, at a man shooting the gun, yeah. Laura and Steele rush out of the house. Surfer Dude gets to his feet and follows them out, then takes several shots at them, but misses. As Laura and Steele disappear around the side of the house, Surfer Dude again begins pursuing. But by the time Surfer Dude gets around the corner of the house as well, Laura and Steele have gotten into a truck which is loaded with lawn care equipment and have peeled out, leaving the mowers, rakes, and other lawn equipment as it falls from the bed of the truck.
And the poor gardener standing there like, oh, okay, there goes my truck.
Yes, as Surfer Dude resumes his firing at them and missing until he runs out of ammo, the gardener stands there at the side, hands in the air in a gesture of surrender.
Yeah, and wondering who he's working for.
And yes, I counted. It was 6 shots, which is correct for a revolver.
Oh, there you
go. Back at the Bay Building, Mulch proudly leads Mildred into the agency office, and she is shocked at the sight. Mulch tells her, takes your breath away, don't it? And distraught, Mildred asks, how in the world could you do something like this? That's the beautiful part, George says excitedly. Still not recognizing that Mildred is not sharing his excitement. He continues telling her that none of this cost us a penny. I sold some venture capitalists on the idea and boom, prototype money up front. Mildred angrily demands to know where he gets off opening up a branch office of Remington Steele Investigations. Well, Mulch is indignant, telling her that he's surprised at her reaction, telling her that she was the one who okayed the franchise idea. Remember?
Oof. Okay, here's my other question, because I had 2 things about Mulch doing this. And the first one was did Mulch ask them to impersonate Steele? The other one, wouldn't you need, I don't know, Steele's signature to do something like this? Like to franchise a company.
No. See, once we sell the idea, then we tell Steele about it. Because then it's all in place. And it'll just be so easy for him to say yes, because it's all in place. It's ready to go.
Because so here's where I was thinking, again, one of those things where this wouldn't be a terrible idea if you had done it right. Because we know that they've mentioned at some point that Murphy is in Denver, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
if they wanted to open a branch office, and I get that Murphy's got his own office, but like he could come in under the Remington Steele banner and operate in it. And that would be somebody that Laura trusts, that she knows is not going to betray who Remington Steele really is, etc. And or Murphy could be the one maybe vetting the private eyes that they hire. Like, this is not a terrible idea. Yeah. It's just Mulch. Mulch is not the one that should be in charge of it. Mulch is everything up. Like he pulls a Mulch. You know, he's pulled a Mulch here. He pulled a Mulch with the dolls and with the it's just dude, you've got this brilliant talent of coming up with great ideas and then just running them into the ground. That's what he's done with this one. Oh, it's sad, actually.
Mildred indignantly recounts a more accurate version of the events than Mulch just recounted, saying that he showed her some renderings. He asked about the Bay Building in San Diego. She said it sounded interesting. That's all. She didn't say do it. Shaking his head and speaking as if to a child, and astounded that they aren't understanding something that is so basic and simple, he explains that he can't entice outside investors with renderings alone. They don't give up the green until they see it in 3D.
This is how she knew about the Bay Building then, right? Like this is where I screwed up. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. He puts his arm around her shoulders and continues. Mildred, listen to me. We are dancing on the edge of greatness here. Think about it. Where would Big Mac be today if he stayed in that same corner burger stand where he started? The answer? Nowhere. Where is he today? Everywhere. Detective agencies, hamburgers, it's all the same thing. We could be in every city in the entire US of A in neon lights. Remington Steele Investigations, Inc. Millions of clients served.
That's just... Oh, Mulch. 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 What are you doing? You know, like, here's what Mulch should do for a living, okay? He's an idea man. That should be his business, right? Literally should be his business. Hire him as a consultant. He can give you the idea. Then you do the idea. Don't let Mulch do the idea. Mulch will screw it up. No. Just hire him to come up with ideas, because the ideas are fine. It's just the execution that always somehow screws the pooch.
Collapses. Yes. Well, Mildred, mouth open, stares at Mulch in total disbelief. Then, not without some sympathy, puts her hands to her face and declares, "You've cracked. You've gone over. You've lost your marbles. How are you ever going to explain this to Mr. Steele, let alone Miss Holt?" And in her distress, and with that phrase, let alone Miss Holt, Mildred just let a hint slip.
I know. I thought that too. Because it's like, that's betraying where the real power lies, right?
Oh, yes.
She knows that it's not just, Steele's one thing. Steele might even see the dollar signs, but Laura, Laura's going to be like, no. And again,
we know he sees the dollar signs at the very end.
Again, it's one of those things where if it weren't for the fact that Remington Steele is not a real person, I think Laura would see the potential in an idea like this as well. But I think she would shoot the idea down simply because she wouldn't want anyone looking too closely at, if it was a franchise operation with locations everywhere in the US and then possibly going international, that's a lot more scrutiny on them and a lot more looking into who they are and possibly uncovering the truth about the boss. So she wants recognition for the agency, but there's maybe a line where you don't want to get too much recognition, because then you're under the microscope, and that wouldn't turn out well for you. So I could see why Laura would veto this, but it's not a bad idea. You just got to have the right people involved, and Mulch does not.
Yeah. Well, of course, they might be able to make it work if they sold him as the spokesperson and not necessarily the real Remington Steele. Like Aunt Jemima was a real person. Her name wasn't Jemima.
Yeah.
She was somebody that, as I recall the history, she was a huge advocate for this particular brand of like pancake mix or something like this. And so the company hired her as a spokesperson to be the Aunt Jemima figure. And, she made the company millions and didn't do too bad herself. But
I thought she died penniless.
I didn't think she did.
I read some like Nancy Green. Let's see. She didn't become a millionaire, contrary to some viral social claims. She lived a modest life. Yeah, I read somewhere that they kind of screwed her over, but anyway, not really relevant to this.
Well, companies had a tendency to do that to anybody and everybody anyway.
True.
But I mean, the point is that Steele could be presented as the kind of the figurehead and not necessarily the guy.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
I mean, it was like with Colonel Sanders too. I mean, he was a real person.
He was a real person, yeah.
But after he sold the company, he was just basically the face.
Well, nobody expects the founder of McDonald's to be in every McDonald's either. So, like,
yeah, that's true. Exactly.
Well, and fun fact.
And Ray Kroc did not invent and start McDonald's. He bought it from the McDonald brothers.
Yes, I did know that. I saw a documentary on it. But fun fact about McDonald's, it is not the most, it doesn't have the most fast food franchises all over the world, as a lot of people might think. The company that has the most fast food franchises all over the world is Subway.
I've got a Subway that's about 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 blocks from my house. A few years ago, I went to the only Firehouse Subs in Anchorage. It's clear on the other end of town from my house.
Right.
I have not been to a Subway since. I will drive across town to get a Firehouse before I'll go to a Subway.
Yeah, Firehouse is good. I've been at Firehouse. They're pretty tasty.
They're great. Yeah. Anyway, where were we? Yes. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Back into the episode. Mulch grins, waving his arms over the scene, and then he tells Mildred, "A picture is worth 1,000 words." And this is in reference to, investors giving up the green and Steele buying in. And then, of course, a realization dawns on Mildred. The guy in the morgue probably got himself killed because of all of this.
Bingo.
And Mulch nods, frowning, telling Mildred that Larry would play any angle to turn a fast buck. Then, as if a man being killed as a result of Mulch's scheme was only an unfortunate collateral occurrence, cheerfully observes that in spite of himself getting himself killed, Larry did a beautiful job with the furniture, don't you think? And Mildred is speechless. And she's again looking over the scene as the postman walks in, happy that somebody's finally there. He hands Mildred a slip of paper and she asks, "What is this?" "Postage due," he says. Normally, he would have just left it with a little envelope for them to pay the additional postage later, but seeing as how they're, new and all, they can claim it at the post office. Just bring some pocket change.
So this was another thing I was confused about, because we get the impression, because Larry was hired by Mrs. Underwood, we get the impression that that this place is operational. But the sign's not even on the door yet. And so are they operational, or like you said, did Larry just take a call and then take a case that he shouldn't have taken? Like how?
He may have been there working in the office, getting the furniture brought in and set up. He could have made himself a key and was setting himself up to operate as Remington Steele under the radar before Mulch got the thing going. I don't know. Somehow he was there. The phone was obviously operating because
the phone's operating. They're getting mail. So it feels like they're up and running, but also Mulch says it's a prototype. So yeah, I'm confused.
Yeah, it's a soft opening.
Sure. Okay.
you know how those work where a store opens, but they haven't had their official grand opening yet. So yeah. Anyway, and about the postage due thing, and the postman saying he would have normally left it with an envelope to pay. Mailmen used to do that. If you had postage due, they would leave the item, envelope, package, whatever it was, with a note and an envelope for you to pay them the additional postage and just leave it in the mailbox and they'd pick it up the next day. Don't do that anymore. In fact, nowadays, you're lucky if you can get a mailman to deliver the mail correctly to the right address. Did I say that? I'm sorry.
Well, our government's trying to get rid of address delivery altogether. So, it's pretty soon it's going to be just all community mailboxes and no home delivery whatsoever. Hence why our constant postal strikes.
Yeah. Well, I heard that our U.S. Post Office is considering canceling Saturday mail delivery. I mean, they used to have...
people don't need to pay their bills on time. That's...
Yeah, right.
I
mean, they used to have Saturday and Sunday mail deliveries. Then they went to 2 Saturday deliveries. Then they went to 1 Saturday delivery, and now they're talking about eliminating that as well. So it's like, but we get to pay the same amount of money.
Yeah, of course.
Well, anyway, as the mailman leaves, Mulch snatches the paper from her hand, telling Mildred excitedly, "That's a clue." "What's a clue?" she asks, in a tone that suggests that she thinks that Mulch has again gone off the deep end on one of his rants. "The Maltese Falcon," he tells her. "Humphrey Bogart, Mary Astor, all those other guys. Bogey got the bird, but to protect himself, he put it in the mail. This could be the same thing. Don't you see?" "See what?" Mildred asks, frustrated. Mulch tells her to come on, and then he heads toward the door. But as he does, it opens, and Dallas, Detroit, and San Diego enter. "There you are, you sly dog," San Francisco says with a grin. "Did you forget about us at the restaurant, George?" Dallas takes Mildred's hand and says, "Well, we hardly even had a chance to say howdy to Miss Krebs," as he leans down and kisses the back of her hand. "Detroit, right?" she asks the man. "No, ma'am, Dallas." I mean, come on, Mildred.
Detroit is hilarious, though. The actor playing Detroit plays Detroit like this puppy, that's constantly wanting to be pet.
Yeah, but I mean, if you can't tell Dallas from the accent, I mean, come on.
The accent is pretty clear.
And then she turns to San Francisco and asks, "Then you're Detroit?" And San Francisco, he corrects. And not to be politically incorrect, but I mean, there's some associations here that she could use. Hillbilly twang, Dallas. Asian man, San Francisco, Chinatown.
Are there a lot of Asian people in San Francisco?
Chinatown.
I just assume every large city has a Chinatown, don't they? Like, don't all large cities have Chinatown somewhere?
I don't know. I think in San Francisco, is it San Francisco I'm thinking of, or Los Angeles?
Because New York has a Chinatown, and I know there's...
Well, there's one in California. I think it's San Francisco is kind of like the mecca of Chinatowns, as I get the impression.
I just make that assumption because if you've got a large city that's highly multicultural, you're going to have little pocket areas where you're going to be able to find ethnic food of different, right? So I'm just
saying from the standpoint of Mildred doing associations, she's got these stereotypes that are admitted stereotypes, but she could apply them here because, like I said, Asian man, Chinatown, San Francisco, hillbilly twang, Dallas, and then by process of elimination, Mr. Bland is Detroit. Well, she apologizes, explaining that geography was never her strong suit. And George starts to say something, but Detroit steps further into the office, interrupting by rhetorically asking, "So this is what our branch offices are going to look like, huh?" Adding that it's impressive. "Art Deco," San Francisco notes approvingly, calling it a classy touch. Dallas agrees. He likes it a lot. And George begins to make apologies to the trio, saying that he wishes that they had more time to discuss the ambiance. Unfortunately, he and Miss Krebs have an urgent private eye matter to attend to, the type of situation. And so he's sure that they're going to understand. And breathlessly, Detroit asks if they can tell him something about the case. And enthusiastically, so Mulch says, "Have you ever seen the Maltese Falcon?" "No," Detroit admits. "See it," George insists, "without delay." And then he herds the trio out of the office, closing the door as they leave. Mildred grabs him by the arm and informs him that this franchise bird is never going to fly. She guarantees it. And he should tell them that now. Sympathetically, Mulch asks, why burst their bubble? Besides, they've got a clue. And as they exit the office, Mulch locks the door, they leave, all the while being observed by an unidentified man who follows them. Next, we see that Laura and Steele are driving through a canyon in the stolen truck, which is pouring out a cloud of burning oil. And they are being followed by a police car. Observing the law behind them, Steele declares in frustration that getting arrested for driving a stolen lawnmower would be the perfect way to cap off their morning.
I can feel the anxiety from this scene because, like, I feel this anxiety anytime there's a police car behind me, even if I'm doing nothing wrong. And I'm never doing anything wrong. To be fair, I obey the rules of the road. But anytime there's a cop car behind me, I'm just like 10 and 2, 10 and 2. Look innocent. Don't let them. You're just like,
it's human nature.
You're just like,
it's human nature.
Like the principal's behind you, and you know you're in trouble, and you're just like, make sure they don't have any reason to stop you. So in this case, they are driving a stolen vehicle, so it'd be even worse.
Well, not only that, but it's just pouring out smoke. I'm sure California, like a lot of places, has laws to address visible smoke and such coming out of vehicles. It's actually a citable offense.
Though? Like, do you think did they have those laws back in the 80s though?
Yeah.
Because seatbelts weren't even mandatory at that point. So
no, but they had I don't know what they called them. But yeah, they definitely had laws that they could have cited them for excessive smoke and such. But most of the time they didn't. They just kind of drove on their way. It's kind of like here in Alaska, where if you've got one element of your taillight that's burned out, they'll pull you over. But somebody driving down the road at night with all of their lights out, go on. It's okay. It's not a problem. Anyway, let's see. Laura counsels Steele to just drive slowly, sure that there's nothing to worry about. But Steele refuses to be appeased by her advice, retorting, "Oh, nothing to worry about. I've been impersonated, assaulted, kidnapped, shot at, murdered. It's not even noon yet. San Diego's quickly losing its appeal for me."
I like how he lists himself as having been murdered.
Well, optimistically, Laura tells him that at least they have something to work with. They know that Mrs. Underwood desperately wants some sort of package, and they know that she hired him, or rather the imposter, to retrieve it for her. Steele comments that obviously she never saw the fraud face to face. Laura speculates that the imposter must have answered the phone when she called the bogus office. He took the hire, but was killed before he could deliver the package. And the result is that Mrs. Underwood and her enchanting shadow believe that he has her package.
I find it interesting after they're basically abducted by Mrs. Underwood's thug that Laura sort of drops the accusation on Steele that he had something to do with it. Like after that happens, it's not mentioned again. So one of those things where she sees obviously that there's something bigger going on and that this is not some sort of scheme he was working, but it might have been funny just to have a little more of that joke throughout the episode.
It could have been, yeah. Well, anyway, just as Steele is commenting this last part, the patrol car pulls up alongside. The officer in the front passenger seat is looking at Steele with a hard expression, no doubt annoyed at having to have been behind a smoking truck as long as they had before they reached a passing lane to get around it. Steele waves, and the car continues past, leaving them alone, trailing smoke.
He looks so suspicious when he waves. It's like, if I were a cop, I would have pulled this guy over for that alone. Like, there's something on his face that's just not quite right.
That's right. Well, Laura and Steele conclude that the first order of the day is to find that package and that their imposter might be able to shed some light on the subject. Laura adds that they ought to check with Mildred as well. Well, Mildred and George are at the post office terminal annex. George hands the postage due slip to the clerk, who moves off to retrieve the associated envelope. Mildred scolds George that he can run, but he can't hide. And sooner or later, he's going to have to explain this whole thing to Mr. Steele and Miss Holt. But George, rarely one to let reality get in the way of his fantasies, tells Mildred that she isn't understanding what they've got here. This could be the clue to Larry's murder. And what better way to smooth things over with Miss Holt and Mr. Steele than by solving the crime?
Oh, Mulch.
And
you
Mildred,
sweet little cinnamon roll. I just... He's a sweet little cinnamon roll. He thinks everything's just going to turn out with sunshine and roses and unicorns farting rainbows, and that's just not how it works.
No. Well, Mildred shrugs, seemingly not able to come up with a suitable argument to the contrary. The clerk comes back and says that the envelope in question is addressed to Remington Steele. Is he Steele? In the flesh, George says. Clerk tells him that there's 22 cents postage due.
Wouldn't they ask to see some identification? Because mail is kind of like isn't it like a federal offense to take somebody's mail?
Yeah.
Wouldn't they want to just at least see a driver's license or some sort of...
Yeah, well, no, because typically, at least with packages that I've picked up from the post office in the past, if you got the paper from the mailman, they just accept that.
See, UPS and Purolator, which I realize aren't like the post office, they have been downright militant about picking up packages whenever I've gone to get my stuff. Like there have been times where there was one time I was picking up something and I don't remember why I had forgotten I didn't have my driver's license or whatever ID it was on me, but it was like I had the slip that had my name and I had other cards on me that had my name on them, like credit cards. They would not give it to me without that piece of government ID. And I was like, but you can see this is me. Look at all my cards. Like, this is my wallet, for crying out loud. They would not do it. So
yeah, I've never had a problem picking up a package by just having the slip that the mailman left, because it's so on bizarre. Their form.
I always run into these like issues with this kind of like, especially
it's just you. People see you and it's like, oh, we got one now.
Right? Like, because it's been not just Canada Post has done it. Purolator has done it. UPS has done it. And UPS drives me bonkers because I know they're not actually attempting to deliver the package. A friend of mine had a dash cam literally outside, or not dash cam, like one of those doorbell cameras that saw the UPS guy drive by the house. And then, like, they got the email saying, somebody tried to deliver your package today. And they were like, no, they didn't. Yep. No, they did not.
I've had that happen too. I think I mentioned before that we had a post office delivery that had 2 packages arriving on the same day with the same carrier, delivered one, didn't deliver the other, and they used the excuse that the doorway where they were going to leave it was inaccessible.
Meanwhile, you order something from Amazon, you come home and the person is in your living room, like, here. You're like, how did you get here?
Not necessarily. I have had, I think I mentioned this before too. I think Amazon drivers, they've got the old deal in the app where you can follow the driver and shows you getting close. And got a package and it's due. It's on the truck. It's a couple of blocks away, literally a couple blocks away. Drives right past and then right back down to the depot and calls it a night.
Weird. I've never had that happen. In fact, they are routinely the only ones that can get into our building, with our building managers being really, really strict about who gets in. Anyway,
the clerk tells George that there's 22 cents postage due. Mulch digs into his pocket, pulls out some change and tosses it on the counter. But just then, the white-haired man who had followed them back from the faux office steps behind Mulch, jabs a gun in Mulch's back, telling him, "You're slippery, Steele. You thought you could pull a fast one? Well, now back up real slowly. You too," he tells Mildred. And as they begin backing up, the postal clerk, totally oblivious to what is happening.
How does she not? How does she miss this? How? Like,
I'm from the government and I don't care.
It's not as if it's hard to hear what the guy's saying.
Yeah. But she's totally oblivious to what's happening right in front of her eyes and just simply asks George if he wants his change. And George gestures with his head and eyes, futilely trying to convey to the woman, "We got a problem here. There's a situation. Come on, pay attention." Well, he finally gives up, telling her to keep the change. And with a nervous giggle, Mildred rushes forward, grabs the envelope, stuffs it into her purse, then turns toward the door, followed by George and Mr. Hare. Back at the morgue, the technician greets Laura and Steele with the comment that they're starting to become regulars around there. Laura asks where Mildred is. The technician asks for the last name, mistakenly believing that they're referring to one of the morgue guests. And Steele corrects her assumption, saying Laura means the lady who wasn't feeling very well, the woman that we left there earlier. "Oh, yeah," she says. "She's come and gone a couple times herself." Laura and Steele are confused. The technician dismissively tells them, "Hey, whatever turns you on."
Wow, she must see some stuff, like, because here's the thing. When Mildred suggests that she'll just wait there for a while, initially I thought, this isn't a library. You can't just hang out in the morgue.
Well, apparently you can.
But apparently with this comment, I'm wondering how many people show up and they're just like, "Can I see a body? How many have you got here?"
and what is it
yeah, exactly. Right. Like, just what does rigor mortis mean anyway? Gross.
Gives a whole new meaning to the word stiff.
Yeah, right? Like, I thought I had it bad when I worked at that call center, but this must be a whole new level of weird.
Just don't leave them unattended with the bodies. Steele
right.
asks if they can have another. Steele asks if they can have another look at the body. Technician dismissively says, "You too, huh?" Then asks the name. Steele says, "Remington Steele." She tells him, "Oh, Steele's gone. Somebody claimed him." Confused, they ask who. "Yeah, it was his widow, Mrs. Steele," the technician tells them. Steele repeats her identification in stunned confusion. Laura crosses her arms and with a slight smirk tells Steele, "Congratulations," and then asks, "Who's the lucky lady?"
I love Laura's attitude in all of this. Like, she's not even worried that he's a target or anything. She's congrats. Who is she?
I mean, at some point, it's so weird that you just
go with it.
It doesn't phase you anymore.
Sure, whatever. He's dead. Now he's married. Okay.
Well, next we see Laura and Steele are climbing the gate of the estate to Mrs. Underwood's. Climbing the gate at the estate of Mr. Climbing the gate
It's like a
to the
weird
estate.
Dr. Seuss book here. Climbing the gate at the estate.
Well,
One
yes.
fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish.
I do like green eggs and ham. I do like them, Sam. I am. As I'm not going to try that sentence again. As they're doing so, Steele asks how they can be certain that it was Vicky Underwood that claimed the body. Laura asks if he knows of anyone else who fits the morgue attendant's description. Steele admits that he doesn't, but then amends his statement with a disclaimer that, well, he's new in town. And as they reach the ground on the inside of the gate, Laura admits being puzzled as to why Vicky Underwood would claim the body. Straightening his tie, Steele complains that he hates it when she puts it that way.
Yeah.
They walk up to the drive. I guess technically, actually, what she said was claim his body.
Your body, yeah. They would claim your body. And he's like, I don't.
Which, has some implications.
Well, I was going to say, it could be taken one of two ways, and neither of which is probably something that he wants to think about.
Yeah. Well, they walk up the driveway and they spot a Mercedes sedan with obvious signs of damage to the front end. Steele concludes that Larry's killer is undoubtedly an Underwood, which I believe to be an unwarranted conclusion because, first of all, that damage doesn't necessarily look like it was from running into somebody. And second of all, he doesn't know that damage wasn't there before.
Well, and there's also, isn't there a gunshot in the grill? That's
what it looks like to me. Yeah.
When they hit Larry, he didn't shoot at them.
No, he didn't.
They just ran him down. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And I would have expected to be a little bit different style damage than what they see. But anyway.
And also, if you had run somebody over with your car, wouldn't you get that car fixed rather than just leave it sitting in your driveway?
Probably. Yeah. Yeah. You'd find some little out of the way shop, shady operator.
Yeah, that doesn't ask questions.
Yeah. Well, from inside of the house suddenly comes the sound of a violent confrontation, including the sounds of items being smashed. Steele and Laura move toward a window where they peek in, and they see Vicky and her mother down in the main room below them. Vicky is yelling, crying at her mother, accusing her of having always hated her and calling her an old hag. And in response, the mother hauls off and slaps her, causing Vicky to turn and run off. Trouble in paradise, Steele observes. But before they can discuss the matter further, Surfer Dude comes out of the house carrying what appears to be a body.
Yeah, they're apparently not worried about anybody noticing them because he's just like walking around in broad daylight with this thing.
Well, they're inside a gated estate,
sure.
High walls, bushes all around. So, yeah, nobody's going to see.
Yeah, but they've got staff, right? There he is with another body.
Yeah, really. Well, it's wrapped in heavy black plastic and it's tied with ropes. He carries it to the trunk of the Mercedes, dumps it in, and then closes the trunk lid and drives off. I think we found Wilson's body. Laura and Steele come out from behind the bushes where they've ducked to hide from Surfer Dude, and they begin to race down the driveway toward the gate, which, having opened to let Surfer Dude out, is now closing. The gate closes just as they get there, so Laura starts to climb it. Steele runs back up the drive a short distance and stomps on the sensor pad to activate the gate opening function. Just as Laura reaches the top of the gate, Steele's efforts are rewarded as the gate begins to open. Steele runs back to the gate and through it, hollering to Laura not to dawdle. They don't want to lose their quarry.
And then he laughs. This is a hilarious visual gag. This is probably one of my favorite visual gags of the entire series, just simply because it's so, like, the look on Laura's face as she clings
she's right in the top of the gate.
The look on his face as he gleefully runs through, like, don't dawdle this all. We don't want to lose our quarry. Like, he's having a great time.
Yeah, I do have a problem with this, though. It wouldn't happen that way. These gates are usually
about these gates. So
well, there's two types of systems. One is loop detector, which is the most common type and works by detecting the change in a magnetic field caused by a car's metal chassis, which is a problem for motorcycles, which is why many states in the U.S. have what are called dead light laws, where a motorcycle pulls up to an intersection. It doesn't get sensed by the sensors under the driveway, and it will not give them a green light. And so after so long, the motorcycle rider has the legal right to proceed on through a red light. The other system is pressure mats, which work by detecting the change in weight on a specific area of the ground, opening the gate once a certain pressure limit is reached. I couldn't find any specifics, but since the systems are intended for automobiles,
yeah, you wouldn't think he'd be able to do it.
They would be designed to allow the system to ignore lesser weights for both security and practicality reasons. So I doubt that stomping on something like that would activate it.
To be fair, those sensors don't always, like, you know how in your car when you get in and like there's weight put down on the seat and that signals that there's somebody sitting there, so it starts beeping if the seatbelt's not on. I have to have, if I'm driving alone in my car and there's nobody in the passenger seat, I have to have my seatbelt buckled for that seat at all times, because if I even put my phone or my purse on the seat, it will register that as a person and it'll be like beep, beep, beep. And it's annoying as hell because I'm like, that's not a person. There's nobody sitting there.
Yeah, that's because the sensitivity on those is set so low.
It's too sensitive. Yeah. So maybe it's a low sensitivity thing and that's why he's able to do it.
I've seen those things before and I've tried it.
Oh,
I'm not ashamed to admit it, but it didn't work for me. Anyway.
Yeah. Don't ruin this for me.
I know, but the gag of Laura riding that
it's so
gate
funny.
back and forth is good. Next, we are at a local TV station, Channel 53, and we see a signboard on the side of the building that reads, Reverend Randy Rawlinson praises the Lord, Friday, 3 to 6 p.m., Saturday, noon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Inside, the Reverend Randy Rawlinson is standing at a podium that seems to be in a room that more closely resembles a mortuary, quite frankly.
It does, actually. That's what I thought, too. I'm like,
with the podium resembling a coffin and the flowers behind it on either side and the curtain beyond that, with the light glowing from behind the curtain. Anyway, the Reverend Randy Rawlinson is preaching a typical sermon that one hears in a TV show, which features a preacher that is being portrayed as being disreputable, full of inane, meaningless prattle, spoken by an idiot, full of sound and fury and signifying nothing, and of course, ending with a plea for money. Well, as the Reverend Randy Rawlinson is preaching, Mildred and Mulch step into the back of the studio, Mr. Hare behind them. As they stand just inside the door to the studio, Mildred and Mulch look at each other in confusion. Why is a TV preacher having them kidnapped at gunpoint? Well, the Reverend Randy Rawlinson signals to Mr. Hare to bring Mildred and Mulch on in. Mr. Hare directs the two across the back, behind the assembled studio audience, and into a dressing room. There are men inside relaxing. Two of them are obviously the Reverend Randy Rawlinson's makeup artists, and one appears to be one of the Reverend Randy Rawlinson's staff. Mr. Hare tells the two makeup artists to take 5, brothers. After they leave, Mr. Hare steps up to the last man standing and tells him, don't let anyone in unless I tell you. The third man leaves, and Mr. Hare steps over to Mulch and warns him, when I return with the Reverend, you had better come up with some answers, or you better say your prayers, Steele. As Mr.
That
Hare
sounds like a man of God. Like,
oh, yes. As Mr. Hare turns to leave, Mulch begins to explain, you don't understand. I'm not. But instead of finishing, he lets out a yelp. Mildred has kicked him.
Yep.
Mulch demands to know what she's doing. Saving our hides, she tells him. Mulch doesn't get it. He calls Mildred crazy, telling her that that man wants to kill him because he thinks that he's Steele. And it's as if he thinks she's too stupid to figure it out.
Yeah.
Mulch continues, telling her that if she'd only let him explain. And Mildred finishes
like he's
for
really
him.
going to just be like, yeah, go ahead. Oh, sorry, our bad. You can leave now. That's
Well, that's what Mildred basically says is that, if he had explained, they would have had their heads blown off, because the only reason he hasn't bumped them off yet is because he thinks Mulch is Steele. If he wanted them out of the picture, he would have done it by now. He wants something from Steele. And Mildred says that she would hate to disappoint the man. He seems a little bit edgy.
Yeah.
And it takes a moment, but Mulch finally gets it. And he isn't happy, rhetorically asking how he gets into these situations. After all he ever wanted was fame and fortune. Was that too much to ask?
Kind of, yeah. Usually for most people it is, because most people don't get fame and fortune. It's that 3% of the population that actually achieve it. But for Mulch, it's one of those things where he wants the fame and fortune, but he doesn't. He wants it to come. Yeah, he wants it to come like get rich quick. Like, I have a great idea, and boom, I'm going to be rich. Whereas if he took a bit more time with these ideas, one of them might pan out.
If he put as much energy into actually doing the work with his ideas as he does in trying to schmooze people and get them to buy into his ideas, he would succeed. Maybe not to the level he wants to, but he would succeed. And, like a lot of people, they see, this person's an overnight success. Yeah, they don't see the 10, 15, 20 years of work that went into it beforehand. It's just, Yeah, I read somewhere, and you might know who this artist is, but the singer Jewel, I know the name. She's from Alaska. Yeah, I was going to say, that's why she's from Alaska. And I read somewhere that she was big in the 90s. She's not really so much, now, but I read somewhere, she just sort of popped up out of nowhere, so it seemed. But I had read that the album that she her debut album that she sold so many albums with, Pieces of You, I think it was called. Prior to that, she was living in her car, hustling, trying to get her music out there. And then eventually it paid off, but it took, from what I remember reading somewhere, years for that to happen. So you don't just, some people blow up overnight, but it's very, very, very rare. Well, but they blow up overnight after a long period of work at their craft in some manner, whether it's going to acting school or working in community theaters or performing gigs at bars and clubs that get 20 people a night in there, and they get $50 to split between 6 members of the band or whatever. It's there's a lot. You look at anybody who's an overnight success, and you're going to find a lot of hard work that went into their career before they blew up overnight. Listen to that, Mulch. Listen to that. Yes. Anyway, after Mulch complains that all he ever wanted was fame and fortune, Mildred goes over to him, trying to encourage him, reminding him that he was the one who said that they were going to solve this problem themselves. Yeah, Mulch says, but that was before there were guns involved. And suddenly, Mildred has an idea, or rather, she borrows one of Laura's ideas. Yep. If this man wants to think that Mulch is Remington Steele, then by God, he's going to be Remington Steele. All Mulch has to do is look good, take the bows, but let Mildred do all the work. He functions best in an advisory capacity. You got that, Mr. Steele? And Mulch initially protests, and it takes a few minutes for him to get on board. But when he does, he raises his hands, steeples the tips of his fingers together, scrunches his face, causing him to look a bit more like Mr. Bean in pain than himself. Yeah, he does look like Mr. Bean. And in a terrible English accent says, "Absolutely, Miss Holt." Which I find this is a great twist. Yeah. On the original series premise. It's funny. It is funny to watch Mildred pretend to be Laura and Mulch pretend to be Steele. But yeah, it takes the entire series premise and reframes it. Oh, for sure. So, yeah. Next, we are in a wooded area where we see Laura and Steele in their stolen truck. Steele is steepling the tips of his fingers together. in the same way that Mulch just did, as they sit watching surfer dudes struggle to pull the wrapped body, or whatever it is, out of the trunk of the Mercedes. He finally gets it out and tosses it into the woods with a loud grunt. Laura comments that this murder is turning into a family affair. Steele comments that it kind of makes you feel warm all over.
Yeah.
I mean,
not really.
The family that kills together stays together, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
As Surfer Dude drives off, Laura and Steele run to the spot where he disposed of his apparent victim. As they climb down the embankment, they see an arm sticking out of the wrap, leading Steele to remark, "I'd recognize Remington Steele's arm anywhere." Laura turns and starts back up the hill, prompting Steele to ask where she's going. Well, to get the rabbit. For what? So you can bring the body back up the ravine and we can return it to its rightful murderer. Then we can bring the police in on this.
I like that. Return it to its rightful murderer.
Laura departs, leaving Steele with Larry. He grabs Larry's arm and begins to try to drag him up the side of the ravine. Back at the TV studio, the Reverend Randy Rawlinson, victims, shills, and such are singing as the Reverend Randy Rawlinson walks off the platform, accompanied by Mr. Hare, and they head toward the dressing room.
This is funny for two reasons. One, what you said about him and like the gibberish that he speaks is basically what I like to call word salad. You know, it sounds good, but when you think about it, it means nothing.
It's a lot of words that say nothing, yes.
But this song, okay, he's got the whole world in his hands. Lovely song, religious song. The only time I ever see it used in movies is when it's being used for like evil. Because this episode, you see, they're all singing that, and the Reverend is obviously a shill, like he's a con man.
He's a con man, and yeah.
Yeah. If you've ever seen the movie Con Air with Nicolas Cage, he plays he's basically a vet who is discharged from the military, comes home to see his wife, and he's attacked outside a bar, and he uses his military training and kills a guy and gets sent to jail, and they basically determine that because he was considered a lethal weapon, he gets a harsher sentence, blah, blah, blah. So the plot of the movie is that he's finally done his time and he's getting out, but he's being transferred home on a plane that also includes all these like really hardened criminals, like really, really serious people. And one of them is played by Steve Buscemi, who is basically a cannibal. And they put him on there. Yeah. And like at one point, the plot of the film is that the criminals end up hijacking the plane, and Nicolas Cage has got to do a Die Hard and try to like bring the plane down and save them because he's trying to get home to his kid. And at one point, the plane gets like lands and they switch planes and they take off, but they leave Buscemi's cannibal character like in this junkyard, and he's sitting there singing to himself, "He's got the whole world in his," and it's just like, so every time I see this in a movie or a TV show, I'm like, this song is now creepy to me, not because it's a bad song, but because it keeps getting used in these situations where I'm just like, that's not what that song is supposed to be about. So, but yeah, it's this whole setup is, and we were talking about this, reminiscent of like those television like people that get on TV and they basically just milk you for your money, and they're not actual holy people at all. They're not. No. In many cases, it's just it's a con, and
they're scam artists, pure and simple, and they found a way to do it that limits the amount of scrutiny that they are subjected to because, as a preacher, a man of the cloth, you know, it's easier to sucker people, and the government is a little more lenient typically, although these days maybe not so much, in terms of they're given a lot more leeway in what they spend their money on, as long as they can come up with a good story.
Yeah, pretty much.
But anyway, inside the dressing room, the Reverend Randy Rawlinson stomps over to Mulch, who's still seated, and angrily tells Steele he doesn't have the time or the patience to play games with him, demanding to know where the package is. And Mulch nervously stutters, "The package." And Mildred steps in, telling Mulch, "I see calm, Mr. Steele. I see calm." "Who are you?" the Reverend Randy Rawlinson demands of Mildred. "I'm Laura Holt, Mr. Steele's associate," she tells him, explaining that she handles most of the nuts and bolts while Mr. Steele functions best in an advisory capacity. Mulch nervously nods in agreement. And in keeping with the tradition of Miss Holt being largely ignored. The Reverend Randy Rawlinson pays Mildred no more attention
Looks right over her. Yep.
as he angrily reminds Steele that Mrs. Underwood hired him to handle the simple task of delivering a package from himself to her. Now, until she receives that package, his church cannot reap its just rewards. Repent your sin, my children, before Brother Nick here banishes you both to eternity.
Yeah, that sounds real loving and kind and all the stuff that you're supposed to be representing.
And Mr. Hare steps forward with an amen. Mildred asks, what exactly is the package he's referring to? Mr. Hare shoves his gun into Mulch's side, prompting Mulch to exclaim, "Oh, that package! I remember now. Don't you, Miss Holt?" And Mildred, having no option but to play along, agrees that, yes, she remembers the package. After all, who could forget that package?
That package.
The third man steps into the room and tells the Reverend Randy Rawlinson, 30 seconds. The Reverend Randy Rawlinson stares hard at Mulch, demanding to know, where is it? Mulch nervously begins telling the Reverend Randy Rawlinson that ordinarily he functions in a advisory capacity, but he thinks he could make an exception in your case. Mildred gently places her hand on his shoulders, her signal to him to shut up.
Yeah.
Then she tells the Reverend Randy Rawlinson to give them an hour, 2 tops, and she can assure him without a doubt that he will have what he's looking for. Or my name isn't Remington Steele, Mulch adds. And so much of this, it's callbacks to previous episodes.
It is. It's really funny because how many times has Steele actually said that, only to have Laura tell him, your name isn't Remington Steele.
And the icy calm.
The icy calm, the this with the fingers, and just like the whole, I function best in an advisory. It's great. It's really great.
Well, the Reverend Randy Rawlinson tells them, may the Lord be with you. And he pauses and then adds, as well as Brother Nick. And Mildred and Mulch add their own amen as the Reverend Randy Rawlinson leaves. Back out into the studio, the Reverend Randy Rawlinson tells his victims in chills, come up, brothers and sisters, come up and let the Lord see us together.
So I was going to tell that story that I told you that I had to go to one of these once. And my grandfather was unfortunately the kind of person who would be taken in by this sort of like spectacle without actual religious substance to it. And he took me on this trip to a small town further north in Ontario. And I didn't really know why we were going, but he was, my grandfather. So I went with him. And we went to this televised service. And it was in a room that was very similar to this one. And the Reverend was calling people up to be healed, claiming to be a healer. And I am a severe asthmatic. I've been a severe asthmatic all my life. Spoiler alert, still a severe asthmatic. And
let me guess, you were cured of your asthma.
Well, I told him I was, because I was only 10, okay? I was just a kid. I was like, and my grandfather shoved me up there, going, go, he'll heal you, right? And so I'm standing there in front of all these people, and I'm just like terrified. And this guy puts his hand on my forehead and literally shoves like with his hand. So I thought that moment, that half second, I thought, if I just fall down, I can go back to my seat, right? Like, because otherwise I'm just going to stand there and be like, no, you're not pushing me over. And then it becomes a power struggle. So I topple to the ground. I get up and I'm like, I'm healed. Yay. And then I went and sat down because I was just like, if I say I'm healed, I'm good. So I went and I sat down, and I guess my grandfather thought, hey, job done. And it's just like, no, I still have asthma. But it was one of those things where I recognized that this guy was not an actual, even if he was an actual reverend, he wasn't. He was using that title to swindle people, which is a shame because you get people like my grandfather who genuinely believed giving money to people that are not good people. And this is why the Reverend is such a scummy character, because he's using what should be something that brings people together to take their money, and that's crappy.
Well, Mildred, Mulch, and Brother Hare have followed the Reverend out, and the Reverend goes into his faith healing act, placing his hand on an older man's forehead and declaring, praise the Lord, you're healed. Yeah. Well, Mildred spots a pair of crutches, and as the Reverend Randy Rawlinson is telling the crowd, everybody come and be healed, she grabs them. Then she throws them up in the air and screams, Then as everybody turns to face her, she shouts, "I can walk, I can hear, I can see."
I love this. She's just throwing it all together, like not just that she can walk, but she can hear, she can see, she can do it all.
That's right, she can dance.
Yeah. It reminds me of that episode of Doctor Who, and I know this is totally irrelevant to the plot going on, but there's an episode of Doctor Who, well, it's a two-parter called The Empty Child and the Doctor Dances, where they go back to World War II, and there's this little boy who's been genetically modified by these nanogenes that found his body on the ground. He was wearing a gas mask, and
Are
they
those
thought,
like blue jeans?
no. They basically they were meant to heal, and they thought they couldn't figure out. They'd never seen a human, so they didn't know how much of him was person and how much was gas mask. So they basically, when they heal him, the gas mask becomes part of his face, and that's the whole like terrifying plot of the episode. But it's not until Nancy, the young girl who was a teenage mother, she lied to him about who she really was, told him that she was his sister, admits to him that she's his mother, and they hug, and the nanogenes figure out like the parent DNA and do everybody. So everybody goes back to being healed, but they don't just heal the face thing, they heal everybody, like everything. So the doctor says to the actual medical doctor, because this was in a hospital, like, I think you're going to find that a lot of patients, whatever they came in with, they don't have it anymore. Don't make a big thing of it. Just, send them on their way. And this old woman comes up to Dr. Constantine and says to him, "Doctor, when I came in here, I only had one leg. My leg's grown back. I've got two." And he says, "Well, there is a war on. Do you suppose you miscounted?" I don't know why, but it made me think of Mildred, like, I can hear, I can see, I can walk, I can do it all.
Well, the crowd of the faithful and the shills rush over to her, surrounding her and Mulch, making themselves a human shield between themselves and Brother Hare and Reverend Randy Rawlinson, leading the faithful and the manipulators to the exit, allowing them to get away, much to the Reverend Randy Rawlinson's dismay.
Yeah, like that was a really smart move for Mildred to grab some poor person just lost their crutches, but other than that,
Well, they didn't need them. They were going to be healed
that's
anyway,
true.
right?
She dropped them. Yeah, that's right.
Outside, Mildred and Mulch are running away, laughing. And as they get into Mulch's car, he declares that they were great and wishing that Miss Holt and Mr. Steele could have seen them in action. And I don't care what anybody says. I love the original AMC Pacer. It was an amazing and cool looking car.
Yeah, no, I had a note in my notes. I like Mulch's car.
It's just that most people were too unsophisticated and lacking in taste and refinement to appreciate it. So there.
I also, when you see them running out, they're laughing together. I thought to myself, I would watch a show just that was just entirely Mildred and Mulch. Like I would watch that. I would watch that spinoff. I would find it hilarious because they're just like there's when I say chemistry, I'm not talking romantic chemistry, but there's chemistry between these characters.
Yeah.
Like it's similar to the chemistry that Laura and Steele have, but without the romantic element, right?
Crosby and Hope, the road
exactly.
movies.
Yeah. Like he's the sort of hapless screw up, and she's the one that's like constantly fixing his mistakes, and it's funny. It's really good.
Well, as they're driving away, Mildred pulls out the envelope that they picked up from the post office, sees that it's addressed to Remington Steele, care of the Bay Building, Suite 101, Mission Bay, California, 92109. Postage due 22 cents. She rips open the envelope and pulls out a bus locker key, number 445. Excitedly, Mulch says, "Isn't this exciting or what? I told you the franchise was a brilliant idea. I bet I could run the whole office myself."
Oh, Mulch. Oh, sweet baby cinnamon roll. No.
Mildred tells him to shut up and drive as Brother Hare, now out of the studio, gun in hand, watches them drive away. He then rushes to his own car. Well, next it's night. Laura and Steele are in the Rabbit, and they pull up in front of the gate to the Underwood estate. Steele gets out, telling Laura that he'll trip the sensor. As he approaches the gate, he begins to climb it. But as he reaches the top and starts to crawl over, the gate starts to open, leaving him hanging on in a prone position on the top rail as it does.
This has got to be even more uncomfortable for him because he's got a few body parts. Well, not a few. He's got a body part.
Laura
doesn't have.
And a couple of accessories that go along with it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying when I said a few, but like he's got his legs wrapped around it, so I can't imagine that's comfortable.
No. Laura yells at him to get down, but Steele's stuck, riding the rail. Laura quickly
Literally.
backs the what?
Literally.
Yeah. Laura quickly backs the rabbit out of the way, just as the Underwood's black Mercedes comes flying out of the gate, tires screeching as the driver turns
it's
out of the
going
driveway
fast.
and out onto the street. Yeah, really flying. Well, after the Mercedes is gone, Laura pulls back into the driveway, the gate still open, and begins stage whispering to Steele. And after a moment, the gate begins to close, Steele still riding the rail, branches stuck to his head and waist and hanging down. Steele begins grunting, wait, what about the body? As the gate slams shut. Laura glances into the back seat, eyes the body, then calls to Steele, he won't mind. And then throwing his earlier words back at him, urges Steele to hurry up, don't dawdle.
This visual gag just keeps giving. It just keeps getting, like the twigs sticking out of him, the fact that he's clutching it for dear life. It's funny.
Steele is struggling to climb down, and Laura sarcastically urges him to come on. And finally making it to the bottom and the back on the ground, Steele begins mumbling, don't worry, Miss Holt, I'm fairly sure nothing is broken. Thanks for asking, really. He reaches the car and begins to get in, but not quite before Laura hits the gas and starts to peel out.
Tormenting him just a little bit.
Yeah. Well, back at the Transway Bus Lines depot, Mildred and Mulch are inspecting the lockers, looking for 445. And Mildred asks Mulch if he's sure no one followed them. Are you kidding? We were a memory before he even got into his car, he assures her. They find the locker. Mildred inserts the key and opens it. She pulls out the package. Mulch shouts, bingo! Then he and Mildred embrace in the excitement of their success. Except that Brother Hare steps up behind them, shoves his gun into Mulch's side. He grabs the package from Mildred's hand, telling them that he'll take that. Mulch stomps on the floor in frustration, slams his fist down, demanding to know how Brother Hare found them.
He's like an angry child. How'd you find us?
That's right. Brother Hare simply says, the Lord works in mysterious ways. And angrily, Mildred sarcastically asks Mulch, just a memory, huh? And then the two of them follow Brother Hare. Laura and Steele are parked, sitting, the rabbit's lights out, watching the Underwood Mercedes, which is also parked and also dark. Thinking out loud, Laura wonders who it is in the car. Steele lists the possibilities. Surfer dude? Or maybe Vicky.
Oh, okay. He says Vicky. Okay, I was going to ask you about this because up until this point, they don't actually say Surfer Dude's name. So that the first one
Sean.
confused me because Steele says Sean, but I don't recall Mrs. Underwood ever saying Sean. Maybe she did, and I
think she did a couple of times. But
it's mentioned later, so that's when I clued in that was Sean. But I didn't hear Vicky. I heard Iggy. So I was like, Iggy? Who the hell is Iggy? Well, that was the thing. I was like, is he making a reference? Like, is this a pop culture reference I'm not in on? Thank you for clarifying that. Makes way more sense as if it's Sean and Vicky instead of Sean and Iggy, because I'm like, who's Sean and why Iggy? I don't get it. Okay.
Well, Brother Hare comes casually strolling out of the bus depot, and suddenly the lights of the Mercedes come on. Laura and Steele sit up, realizing that something's about to go down.
Oh, yeah.
At the sound of tires squealing, Brother Hare pauses and then looks toward the sound. The Mercedes slams into Brother Hare, causing Laura and Steele to jerk in a sort of sympathetic response. And as they jump out of the rabbit, the Mercedes backs up, the driver's door opens, and a man's hand.
Yeah, I noticed this too. This is it was confusing because that is definitely not a woman's hand.
And I don't see any point in the episode that I recall where this is explained.
No.
Anyway, a man's hand reaches down to pick up the package formerly held by Brother Hare. The door closes, and then the car speeds off into the night. At the same time, Laura and Steele reach Brother Hare, and so do Mildred and Mulch, and they all greet each other in surprise.
Well, and also it's nighttime, and Laura and Steele, they found out earlier in the day that Mildred is not there anymore, but it doesn't seem like they spared any thought or wonder as to where she went beyond that. They were just like, oh, I guess she's not here.
Yeah. They
were you not worried about where she went? Like,
well,
anyway.
Maybe they just assumed that she was babysitting Mulch and, keeping him under wraps.
Well, no, because they don't know that Mulch is involved.
Oh, that's right.
This is literally the first time they see Mulch. So they're just like this.
Yeah, I guess they just figured she's in the
off
hospital
somewhere. Maybe she went to kiss a sperm whale. Who knows?
Yes. Be sure and bring protection. From the background, someone calls out, "Hit and run! Murder! Someone call the police!" Nervously, Steele tells Laura that he doesn't mean to sound paranoid, but they do have a murder victim of their own in the car. And in a panicked voice, Laura agrees that he's got a good point. So they take off on a run, and Mildred and Mulch take off on a run as well.
Yeah.
The next morning, Mildred and Mulch enter the alternate universe office of the Remington Steele Investigations at the Bay Building, being greeted unexpectedly by Laura, 2 cups of coffee in hand, who wants to know where they've been. Well, they found a motel up the road, and never mind about the motel, Laura interrupts. She wants an explanation. And as she's saying this, Steele enters. He is disheveled, loose tie, top shirt button open, hair mussed, generally looking like he had a rough night.
Yeah.
And he amends Laura's demand for an explanation, saying that they both want an explanation. Offended, Mildred asks if they really think that she had anything to do with this. And frustrated, Laura hisses that they still don't know what this is.
Fair.
Well, the Reverend Randy Rawlinson storms in, followed by the third man, and bellows, "We have unfinished business, Steele." Steele
I like
asks
how he just replaced his henchman without a thought, right? His henchman's dead.
Sure.
Brother Nick is dead. So it's just like, okay, brother Kurt, you're now up. Like, yes, very sad. Your turn.
Got a deep bench. Got a really deep
Right.
bench.
Got a lot of people willing to kill for him. That's an interesting congregation he's got there,
Yes.
Like,
Interesting bunch of followers, yes.
yeah.
Anyway, Steele asks who he is. Mulch jumps in, suggesting that the Reverend Randy Rawlinson, that perhaps they should step into his office. The Reverend Randy Rawlinson points to Mildred, saying, "You too, Miss Holt." And as the group leaves the reception area, Laura and Steele glance at each other, and they're totally confused as to what's happening.
Yeah. They have
Next,
no idea what's
Dallas, Detroit, and San Francisco enter, with Dallas exclaiming, "If it isn't the boss man himself." Shaking Steele's hand, he declares that it's good to meet him and it's a pleasure to be on his team. My team, Steele parrots? The 3 men introduce themselves by their location. Laura asks, National Football League?
NFL?
Before anyone can clarify anything, Surfer Dude wheels Miss Underwood in as she hollers, "Steele, your time's up. Where's my package?" Steele hides behind his coffee cup as she comes in. Steele then begins making incoherent noises, finally suggesting that Dallas, Detroit, and San Francisco wait in Laura's office, and that he and Miss Holt will take care of the whole thing, though he has no idea what the whole thing is.
No, this is just getting more and more confusing by the second. I love it.
And as the 3 men move into the inner office, Surfer Dude pulls out the pistol he's been holding under his jacket. And just then a workman enters, asking if this is Remington Steele Investigations. Laura, frustrated, asks, "Who are you?" "Sign painter," he says, smiling and chomping his gum. Laura and Steele don't answer. Steele tells Mrs. Underwood and Surfer Dude that they'll be more comfortable in here, referring to the utility office.
Yeah.
Steele hands his coffee cup to Laura, then rolls Mrs. Underwood in, followed by Laura and Surfer Dude, who is still holding the gun on them. Sign painter shrugs, turns to the door, and gets to work. Steele asks Surfer Dude to lower the gun a tad, and then Mrs. Underwood demands that Steele stop screwing around and wanting to know where is it. Steele, who had not been wearing his jacket up to this point, begins putting it on, telling Mrs. Underwood that they've run into a bit of a snag. Detroit comes in, apologizing, saying that he just wanted to get some coffee.
This entire sequence from this moment to where they're just like switching on like offices left, right, and center, to where they're all in the same room screaming at each other, to where they're like, this is so brilliantly done. It is so brilliantly executed. This back and forth of, okay, you're supposed to be you, and you're supposed to be you, and I'm supposed to be him, and I don't. It's exactly what this show does really, really well. And why it's so fun to watch, because this could get really confusing really fast, but it's not. It's hilarious.
It's the classic madcap comedy where you are following everything, but the characters have no clue what's going on, and they're so totally confused.
And it's funnier that they're not getting the explanations for it, because then it just creates even more confusion where they're switching back and forth. And yeah, it's great. I love it.
Well, incorrectly calling him Dallas, Steele welcomes him in and then begins to step forward to help with the coffee. A surfer dude shoves his gun in Steele's back, so Steele asks Laura to step forward to help with the gun. Nervously, Laura agrees, saying that they wouldn't want coffee to get cold. So she and Detroit carry coffee cups back through the office door into her office. And as she begins to step towards Steele's office, Dallas stops her, asking if they have any saccharin.
What is that?
It's an artificial sweetener.
Oh, okay. I never heard of that one. I've heard of like stevia and like all the others, but not saccharin.
It's an old classic artificial sweetener. It's been around for decades.
Gotcha.
But I'm sorry, maybe I'm falling for a stereotype here, but I can't imagine any true Texan asking for saccharin.
I thought it was San Francisco that asked for it. I'm almost certain it was, because that's what I have in my notes, but
hang on.
I could be wrong. Either way, like I know what he meant, so.
Hang on.
Oh, also, while you're looking for that, I have to issue a correction. I am wrong. As of 2024, Starbucks has the most locations. It beat out
You're
Subway.
right. It is San Francisco asking her that.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, you're right as well. No Texan would ever ask that because no Texan does. Yeah. It's San Francisco that does it.
Well, over in Steele's office, Mulch, as Remington Steele, is assuring the Reverend Rawlinson that the situation is completely under control and he can explain about Brother Nick. And angrily, the Reverend Rawlinson tells Mulch to forget about Brother Nick.
Does not care.
Nope. All he cares about is what happened to the... But he stops as Laura walks in and then in a low, menacing tone asks, "Who is she?" while pointing to Laura. Mildred jumps in to save the situation, introducing Laura as Mildred Krebs, and then, unable to resist, heaping praises upon herself, calls Mildred one of the top secretary receptionists in the building, declaring her to soon be a private eye in her own right.
Damn right, Mildred. You do you toot your own horn. You do that. Good for you.
Well, it's doubly fun when you think about all the times that Laura herself was treated by clients or the press as a mere secretary.
Yeah.
Or at best,
now Laura has to pretend to be a secretary. Yeah.
Well, Laura is stonily livid about her demotion and misrepresentation. She grabs Mildred and through gritted teeth asks, "Could I see you a moment, Miss Holt?" Yeah. She drags Mildred by the arm out of the office into reception and then angrily, though quietly, demands to know what she and Mulch are doing. Mildred assures her that it's not our fault. Honest, Miss Holt, the Reverend Rawlinson. Who's the Reverend Rawlinson? The guy in the white suit. He mistook Mulch for the boss when we found the key in the package. You know about the package? We had it in our hands before Brother Nick took it. Who's Brother Nick? The guy that got nailed at the bus station.
The vessel from the pestle has the brew that is true. This is what this reminds me of the court jester. Like it's you know about the package. You know who's the Reverend? Who's Brother Nick?
Yeah, there's a reference to an old Danny Kaye movie.
Yeah, it's great.
Which
it's the court jester, isn't it?
Is that the actual title of it?
I thought so. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, the court jester, Danny Kaye. Yeah, the pellet and the poison, the vessel with the pestles. It's true.
Anyway, just then Steele steps out of the utility room and says, "Miss Holt," and both Laura and Mildred turn to answer him. And just then Mulch steps out of Steele's office saying, "Miss Holt," and both Laura and Mildred turn and answer him. And George gestures inside to Mildred with his head. Steele gestures inside with his finger to Laura, and each of the women walk toward their respective rooms. But as Laura passes Steele, he tells her to take over, then continues to his own office. And in the meantime, the sign painter continues to work on the sign painting. Remington
also, I think it's kind of funny that the people with the guns are allowing other people to come and go into different offices when they could be going and calling the police. Like they could just go into the outer office and call the cops and say, "Hey, there's a guy holding us up at gunpoint. Can you come here, please?" But no, they're like,
maybe they
it's
figured
just the
that
secretary. It's fine. Like
maybe they figure that, hey, we've got guns. They wouldn't be that stupid.
Yeah, probably. Well, and the sign painter, as you said, he's just like painting away.
Well, Steele storms into his office and with a loud, annoyed Mulch gets everybody's attention. But George grabs Steele and nervously introduces him to the Reverend Rawlinson as George Mulch, his associate.
Oh, no.
Then he tells Mulch that since he saw what happened to the package, would he mind sharing that information with the Reverend? And through gritted teeth, Steele demands Mr. Steele give him one good reason why he should. And with a nervous laugh, George points to the third man, saying, because Brother Kurt here is holding divine intervention in his hands. Steele looks at the gun, back to Mulch, then back to the third man, and then the Reverend Rawlinson, and with a stiff grin tells him, no harm in asking. Back in the utility room, Laura, arms crossed, confronts Mrs. Underwood, telling her that they know the woman is protecting her daughter. And somewhat indignantly, Mrs. Underwood asks why she would have to protect Vicky. Because she ran someone named Brother Nick down at the bus station last night, Laura tells her as she leans against the adjoining door. Mrs. Underwood shakes her head, insisting that the accusation is preposterous. Vicky was in the house all evening, and she'll swear to it in court. Laura asks if she will also swear that she knows nothing about Sean dumping that other body into the ravine. Mrs. Underwood turns her head to look at Surfer Dude, who looks back at her expressionless. Oh, duh. It was Surfer Dude that picked up the package for...
Oh, right. Now, is Sean her son, or is he just an employee? Do we ever get that information?
No, I think he's either an employee or maybe he's trying to get in with Vicky. I don't know, but yeah, he's not family.
Okay.
Well, the door that Laura is leaning on is pushed open, knocking her over as Dallas walks in. He puts down the coffee cup that he had previously been given, picks up another, and comments that his doctor had skinned him alive if he knew he was drinking anything in the world but decaffeinated. And everyone is silent as he pours his coffee. I'm going to question whether a true Texan would drink decaffeinated, but anyway.
Well, okay. Yeah,
even if the doctor ordered it. Even if the doctor ordered it.
I find it funny that, like, at the end of the day, I don't know that unless your heart is basically about to explode, I don't know that caffeinated coffee is going to do that much harm. It's one of those things where I guess now we know more about it. They don't even really myth. Yeah, because like even in pregnancy, they don't even really say no, you can't have it. They just say like, don't drink so much that the baby's doing backflips. Like it just, it's so I do find it funny to have him come out and be like, my doctor would kill me if he knew I was drinking anything. I'm like, really? Because I can't have caffeine, but not because it's gonna like it's a migraine thing. Caffeine's a migraine trigger for me, so like I avoid it. But when I would drink it, I guess maybe because of the ADHD as well, caffeine has a different effect. It would actually calm me down. Like it wouldn't like make me hyper. This is me on normal. Like I tell my students that I'm like, this is me not caffeinated. Imagine what would happen if caffeine had an effect, and they're always like,
well, anyway. It's the same with salt.
And sugar, actually.
It's generally believed that salt causes high blood pressure, and I've had doctors tell me that no, it really doesn't. It can, under certain circumstances and with excessive use, aggravate existing high blood pressure, but it doesn't cause high blood pressure.
And sugar is often thought to be something that makes kids hyper, and it actually doesn't have any... I mean, it's one of those cause and effect things where if you give a kid a bunch of candy, they're going to be excited just because they got a bunch of candy. It's not the sugar that's actually physiologically affecting them. It's the fact that they're being allowed to eat a bunch of candy when they're not normally allowed to do that.
Yeah.
But sugar itself, no.
And they are discovering, or maybe not discovering, finally admitting that artificial sweeteners are actually worse for you than sugar.
Yes. Oh my God.
And can actually contribute to weight problems more than sugar itself does.
Because they trigger the body to crave more of it. And then you end up actually like eating more things, because people don't realize that there's sugar in so many things that you don't think there'd be sugar in. Like beyond just your typical cookies and candy and sweets and stuff like that. There's tons of sugar in things like bread and ketchup and like all of these other things. So like you have these artificial sweeteners and they send signals to your brain that say, hey, we like this, we want more. And so subconsciously you eat more things that have sugar in them, and things you might not necessarily associate as having lots of sugar, like bread, or which carbs also have. So yeah, those artificial sweeteners, not great. This is not a medical podcast. Please do not take our advice. We are not medical doctors, but
we have played one on TV.
Anyway, keep going.
Anyway, next, Well, meanwhile, while all this other stuff is happening, Steele pulls Mulch out of the office into the reception area and sternly warns him that if they ever get out of this alive, he's going to kill him.
Yeah, I love how Mulch's little shoulders just go down, and he's like, "That's fair."
Yeah,
He's just totally defeated. Like, yeah, I get it.
Well, San Francisco opens the door and sticks his head out of Laura's office, calling Mr. Steele, but Steele and Mulch both answer.
Yeah.
And San Francisco seems momentarily confused. Then Steele guesses, Detroit? San Francisco, he corrects him. As Laura walks out of the utility room calling Mr. Steele. At the same time, Mildred walks out of Steele's office calling Mr. Steele.
Yeah.
It's
still funny.
Steele and Mulch are momentarily confused and confounded. And San Francisco prompts, Miss Holt? I know that, Mr. Steele curtly tells San Francisco as George follows Mildred into Steele's office.
Yeah, they don't even know who they are anymore. They're so confused.
Letting out a frustrated groan, Steele follows Laura back into the utility room, and San Francisco watches, raises an eyebrow in suspicion, and then steps back into the office. In the meantime, the sign painter just continues to paint on the door sign.
He's probably thinking, these people are weirdos.
He's probably, nowadays, he wouldn't even be paying attention. He'd have his earbuds in or headphones on, and he'd just bop into some tunes or whatever.
Yeah, the gunshots would go off, and he'd still be painting the sign, you know?
Yeah, because he's got noise canceling headphones on. Well, inside the utility room, Mrs. Underwood is laying down the law with Steele and Laura, warning them, no more games. You know what I want, and I want it now. Laura gives Steele a look that says, I don't believe this. She turns back to Mrs. Underwood and demands, or else what? Are you going to have Sean kill everyone in this office? A surfer dude raises his pistol, and we hear the sound of a hammer being pulled back to cock the gun as it does. Laura stiffens, an Urkel look on her face. Did I do that?
Yeah, exactly, right?
Did you catch my earlier?
I got your Urkel joke. Yeah.
No, the earlier Family Ties.
Family Matters.
No.
Family Matters was the Urkel show.
No, but earlier I made a reference. You're in big trouble, mister.
Oh, yeah.
What was that show?
Oh, yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Steele groans and with a grimace on his face murmurs to Laura, oh, I wish you hadn't said that.
Right.
Surfer dude opens the door to reception and gestures as Mrs. Underwood rolls herself out, followed by Laura and Steele. Meanwhile, in Steele's office, the Reverend Rawlinson is telling Mulch, time's up, Steele. And then he tells the third man, let's go. And with the sound of yet another gun being cocked, the group exits the office into reception. In Laura's office, San Francisco is telling Dallas and Detroit that something fishy's going on. He doesn't like it, and he's pulling out. The other two men look at him in silent agreement. They put their coffee cups on the desk and walk out to reception. As all three groups enter reception simultaneously, they all spot each other simultaneously. Mrs. Underwood hollers, Rawlinson!
Sean!
Shocked. The Reverend Rawlinson hollers, Underwood! Mrs. Underwood yells, Sean, a.k.a. surfer dude.
Yeah, Kurt!
The Reverend Rawlinson yells, Kurt, a.k.a. the third man. Surfer dude and the third man begin shooting at each other. Everyone else begins to duck. The sign painter falls against the partially painted and still wet sign. More shots are fired until the third man finally hits Surfer dude with one shot, causing Surfer dude to fall back against the door frame. Mulch hops up to his feet in front of the third man, grabs the man's gun hand, and bites down hard on his hand, forcing the man to give up his gun in favor of grabbing his now painfully injured hand. Mildred rises to her feet, mouth agape, staring at Mulch, who, with an equally astonished look on his face, exclaims, I don't believe I did that. And then apparently realizing he still has the gun in his hands, tosses it away like it's a live snake as Mildred responds,
you just burned him.
Wait in line.
So when he does this, when he jumps up, I put in my notes, this is what I have written. I wrote, Kurt hits Sean on the shoulder, and Mulch, in an act of heroism shocking to even himself, he jumps up, bites Kurt in the hand, gets his gun, and looks stunned afterwards. It's a really good moment for the actor who plays Mulch, Michael Constantine, just because the look on his face after he's bitten him, and he's just like, oh my God.
I can't believe I did that.
Yeah, and then how he throws the gun like it just burned his hand is really funny. It's good.
Yeah, finally, the one thing that he did right.
Yeah.
Laura is holding Surfer Dude's gun, and tells Detroit, who's picking up the third man's gun, to keep his gun trained on Brother Kurt, tells Mildred to call the police, tells Dallas to escort this man, Sean, to the hospital, and Dallas is all grins saying, "My first outlaw, you betcha."
He's so excited.
He is. Laura hands Surfer Dude's gun to San Francisco, instructing him to keep his eye on the Reverend Rawlinson. Indignant, the Reverend Rawlinson stiffens, announcing that, "You can't hold me. I'm a man of the cloth. Besides,
I'm sorry.
Brother Kurt acted on his own free will."
Like, no, that's not how it works, sir. You don't have diplomatic immunity. Being a reverend doesn't mean you get to kill and just wander off. And, "I'm a man of the cloth." That's not how it works.
Well, Brother Kurt acted on his own free will.
Sure, after you instructed him to shoot.
Well, he turns and walks out, and no one attempts to stop him.
Well, I mean, what are they? They're not going to shoot him, and I think he knows that, right?
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
Yeah. So.
Well, Laura tells Mulch to keep an eye on Mrs. Underwood so that she doesn't get on the phone and call Vicky as she and Steele head out. Mildred wants to know where they're going. To the only person who still isn't looking for the package, Steele explains, then pointing to Laura, calls her brilliant.
Yeah. I love how they don't even... He knows exactly where she's going.
Mm-hmm.
He knows that she's gotten there, he's gotten there too. And it's just a really cute little half second where we see they're in sync. And in season 1, this wouldn't have been the case. He would have been like, "Where are you going? Where are you going? Did you figure it out? Tell me." But no. He's gotten there. Just she has gotten there. So yeah, it's cute.
Well, at the Underwood estate, Vicky is bringing luggage out of the house and placing it into the trunk of the Mercedes. Taking her by surprise, Laura asks, "Going somewhere, Vicky?" "Somewhere far away, it would appear," Steele adds. Vicky begs them to leave her alone. She's got to get out of here. And Steele, with a bit of sarcasm, asks, "Didn't Mummy ever tell you murder's illegal in this state?"
Pretty sure it's illegal in every state.
"Murder?" she asks, seemingly genuinely shocked. Steele bluffs her, telling her that they know what's in the package. And out of the corner of her mouth, Laura asks, "We do?"
We do?
Steele murmurs an unintelligible response. Vicky lowers her head in shame, asking how they found out. Moving next to her, Steele asserts that it slipped out in a little soiree between your mother and the Reverend Rawlinson. "That phony," Vicky retorts. "He videotaped me and Nikki in bed just so he could blackmail Mummy. He needed $1 million.
How?
What?
How did he videotape them in bed? Did he sneak into the house and set up a camera in the bedroom and then turn it on? Did he know they were going to have sleep together that night? How did he do it? I would really, I mean, I don't want to know how. I don't really want to know how, but
Well,
I would like to know.
We get the answer.
Did they say?
Later on, Mrs. Underwood says.
Oh, I missed. Okay.
It's a setup. The whole thing is a setup. Nikki is part of the setup.
Oh, that's right, because she's the one. Okay, sorry. Ignore me. Wow, my brain just blitzed out there on that. But yeah.
You need coffee.
This is me not on caffeine. This is my brain not on caffeine. This is your brain on drugs.
She continues. He needed $1 million for his new church, and he knew how much Mummy would pay to keep me under her thumb, to keep Nicholas away from me, and that's why I'm leaving forever. Except that she didn't want anybody to have the tape, Laura accuses, saying that Vicky found out who her mother had hired to get the package, and then Vicky killed him. And then, when it wasn't with the effects at the morgue, she went back to the bus station where she killed Brother Nick, finally getting her hands on the tape. Steele clasps his hands, congratulating Laura on her excellent deduction, then declaring, "We have you dead to rights for double murder, Vicky."
Well, not really. I mean, at this point, there's no real proof. They're right, but
yeah.
Yeah.
they know they're right, but they can't really prove anything yet. Well, on the verge of tears, Vicky asserts that she doesn't have the tape. And why would she kill Nicholas? She loved him. They were going away together to start fresh away from her mother's grasp. Steele, unwillingly to give up entirely on Vicky as the culprit, says, "Fine, we've got you on one murder. We'll take it." Vicky then begins to lose control of her tears, insisting that she didn't kill the first man either. Mummy did. She didn't want to have to pay the money for the tape. And then she made Vicky claim the body because she still couldn't find that tape. And then when she saw Nicholas, and then she begins to break down completely.
Yeah, she really puts on the waterworks here.
Yes. Steele pulls Laura to the side and in some confusion asks, "Mrs. Underwood?" Laura, pondering the seemingly new revelations, admits that it makes sense. Why would Vicky kill the man she loved? And the woman's hand at the station could have been Mrs. Underwood's. Again, It wasn't a woman's hand. It was a man's hand.
Yeah.
But they were a ways away, so maybe they just mistook it.
True.
All except for one thing, Steele points out. How could a person who can't even walk drive? And Laura slowly responds with, unless that person actually can walk.
So this is, okay, I know that Mrs. Underwood is not actually the culprit and that her need for the wheelchair 100% of the time is genuine, as we see. But I would like to point out that a wheelchair does not necessarily mean a person can't walk.
That's true.
My dad would sometimes use a wheel. Like, he had mobility issues, and there were times where he was perfectly capable of walking, and other times where he wasn't. And so when we went to places like Canada's Wonderland or big theme parks, we would often get the wheelchair because he couldn't do lengthy
a lot of walking,
walks, right? So he would have a wheelchair there, but it wasn't necessary all the time. So, I mean, I get it. This is a TV show, and for the purpose of the TV show, we have to assume that she's unable to walk because that's why it's a suspicion. But yeah, a wheelchair doesn't necessarily mean you can't walk. It just means that walking is a challenge for you and you need the wheelchair to help.
And among the crowd that constitutes, we'll call them panhandlers.
Yeah.
Things like wheelchairs have become popular props.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And sorry, this is just a random thing, but it popped into my head, and I figured you would share my outrage at this. We were at the grocery store Friday.
You were at the grocery store? That's outrageous.
Yes, I know. How dare I go to Sobeys? But we came out of the Sobeys, and there was a Mercedes in the accessible parking space, and it was parked on an angle, so it was taking up 2 accessible parking spaces, which would be bad enough, but it had no sticker. Somebody had literally taken up 2 accessible parking spaces, got out of their car, and gone inside to go shopping and left it there. And I was just like, seriously, dude? Like, and I don't know if it's a guy, but I say dude for everybody. Like, why would you do that? That's a crap. Like, it was on it wasn't even, anyway, sorry.
Well, you know, there are times when certain vehicles, because of their size, have to take up multiple spaces.
Sure, but not a sedan.
You do that when you're far away in the parking lot. You're away from the main area of parking where people are going to be typically parking. But then there's the people who do it just because they're jerks, and I've got a expensive car and I don't want anybody banging into it.
Sedan, and it just decided it was gonna we were leaving, and I was so tempted to
And where's enforcement when you want them?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I was really tempted to go inside and say, hey, you guys want to call and let somebody know that there's somebody parked in the... I should have. Maybe next time I will.
I don't know about in your area, but if you tried to do that here, it's not my problem.
Yeah.
They wouldn't call. They wouldn't care. They wouldn't do anything about it. And quite frankly, and I don't blame the cops for this.
That's fair. Yeah.
The cops wouldn't show up either.
Probably not. That's why I didn't. Ultimately, I was like, yeah, it would take more effort but it just made me angry because my dad had a sticker, and my dad would see this all the time, and my dad legitimately needed to use his sticker. And there were times where we would go somewhere and he'd go to park in the spot, and some idiot would be, again, taking up a spot without a sticker. So anyway, it just...
Well, the one thing that annoys me about those is that there are businesses that just go overboard with them. They will have a whole row of like 10 or 15 parking spaces designated for handicap, and they're not that big of a store. I'm sorry. You don't need that many for a store that size. It's just, anyway. Yeah. Somebody just goes over the top. Anyway. Next we see Mildred and Mulch come running out of the front of the Bay building and around the corner to the side. Laura and Steele pull up in time to see them running and follow them, demanding to know what they're doing out there. And where's Mrs. Underwood? Excitedly, Mulch says, you know how you told us on the phone that all we have to do is prove that the old lady can walk? We figured out a way how.
No, Mulch.
Laura looks in through the window at the side of Mrs. Underwood in her wheelchair in a room filling with smoke, and in a panic asks, by setting fire to the office?
First of all, there are other offices in this building. Like, if that fire got out of control...
Yeah.
They could take everybody out with them. So that's maybe not a good idea. That's a bad plan.
Well, I understand Mulch's logic, and I'll put logic in sarcasm quotes. It's in a metal garbage can. How's it going to spread? Well,
Could get knocked
yeah,
over.
it can get knocked over. The can get so hot that it ignites the carpet that it's sitting on.
Yeah.
Sparks from it can fly out and catch something else on fire. I mean, there's lots of different ways, but in a very, very narrow sense, mulch kind of makes sense. But
It's one of those things where it's like it's a good idea in theory, but maybe we shouldn't be putting it into practice.
That's true. Yeah. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
You should, yeah. Precisely.
Well, Mildred stutters out that she's just an observer, and Mulch assures them that it's not dangerous. It's just a few rags. That's all. And as Mrs. Underwood is desperately trying to make a phone call on the office phone, Mulch proudly explains that he just disconnected the phone and bolted the door.
What the hell? Like, smoke inhalation is really dangerous. And even if she could walk and she didn't get out in time, she could still die. She's not young.
Yeah. And what rags would he have gotten? Rags from the painter. They've got paint on them. They've got
it's like carcinogenic. Like, what's the word? Not
thinner,
carcinogenic.
Carcinogenic. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And in a panic at least equal to Laura's, Steele shouts, "Are you crazy, Mulch? The woman's choking to death."
Yeah.
Steele looks and grabs a big rock, prepares it to throw it through the window, but Mulch stops him as Mrs. Underwood struggles to get up from the chair. Mulch proudly asks, "So I'm crazy, huh?" And then just then, Mrs. Underwood loses her struggle to stand, falls face down on the floor.
This poor old lady. I realize she's been an antagonist throughout this entire episode, but she doesn't deserve this.
No. You know, and when you understand the situation, you kind of understand her attitude. It doesn't excuse it, but you can at least understand it.
No, there's a difference between her and, say, somebody like Mrs. Armadale, who's just like, "Kill him, Willard, kill him all.
Kill him all." Steele throws the rock through the window, fights his way through the large sections of fragmented glass that are still in place, and runs over to Mrs. Underwood, picks her up. Laura comes in, grabs the smoking garbage can, and after Mildred and Mulch climb in through the window, he throws the can out. Steele carries Mrs. Underwood into the reception, lays her on the sofa, and asks if she's okay, and then instructs Mulch, who has also come into the reception, along with Laura and Mildred, to get Mrs. Underwood a glass of water. At Steele's prompting to say something, Mrs. Underwood's first words are, of course, a complaint and a criticism. "Your phones don't work."
This is like, I mean,
seriously, that's
lady.
The first.
She's like the prime old lady stuff. Like, the first thing you do is like, "Do you know your phones don't work, young man?" Also, you nearly killed me.
Steele tells her not to worry, assuring her that they will take care of the problem. And of course, he's glaring daggers at Mulch as he says this.
Yeah.
Mildred takes the glass of water from Mulch, telling him that he's done enough for one day, and then holds out the glass for the woman to drink. Laura apologizes and again asks if the woman is all right. Finally, breaking character, Mrs. Underwood smiles up at Steele, telling him that he saved her life.
Aww.
Nodding, Steele turns to Laura, asking if she understands what this means. Realization dawns on her. They were right in the first place. It's Vicky. Mrs. Underwood tells them that Vicky went crazy when she told her that Nick didn't love her and that he only did it to help with the blackmail.
So that's who taped them. That makes more sense.
He set it up with the Rev.
Yeah, it makes more sense to have how would you?
Well, see, they wouldn't do it at Mummy's house. They had to go somewhere, so they probably got a motel, which the Rev had already set up with cameras and such. So there you go.
Yeah.
And Steele asks if Mrs. Underwood knows where Vicky was going. Well, we have a scene change with a close-up of people's legs as we hear the voice of the Reverend Rawlinson.
More word
Let's talk about faith. Faith is not something you can buy. Faith is not something you can borrow. Faith is not something you can barter. And
apparently it is in his church because he's bilking them for money. Like, well, you can buy it according to him. Like,
and he has faith that they will give him more money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. As we hear him speaking, we see the legs of a woman in a wheelchair as the woman's hands maneuver the chair forward. The camera pans up, revealing first rented lips, revealing first a blanket draped over the female figure and then up to her face, which is also draped with the blanket. And of course, we see that it's Vicky. The Reverend Rawlinson continues as Vicky continues to roll to the front of the studio. we see Laura and Steele coming into the studio from the side in some of the doors that are on the side of the room, and they are looking out over the congregates. As the Reverend Rawlinson continues to call, "Do I hear an amen?" Laura sees Vicky raising a pistol and aiming it at the Reverend. Laura rushes at Vicky. Steele rushes at the Reverend. Steele knocks him down to the floor. Laura grabs the gun in Vicky's hand, jerking it up toward the ceiling as the shot goes off, though arguably, Laura may have had as much to do with the shot going off as Vicky did. And as Laura finally wrestles the gun from Vicky's hand, the gathered stand, looking on. Laura firmly tells Vicky that this time she really does have something to cry about. First-degree murder.
Well, attempted. Well, no, that's not true. She
No.
did. She ran over 2 people. So, yeah, first-degree murder.
Well, I still say that
The second one was not her. Yeah,
the second one was not her, but she's responsible for. She didn't do Nikki, but she did did Larry. That sounds wrong.
Poor Larry. Yeah.
Especially since she picked him up from the morgue. Steele helps the Reverend Rawlinson as the Reverend Rawlinson proclaims that he could have been killed and says, "Thank God." Steele, jerking the Reverend Rawlinson's arm behind him, warns the Reverend not to be too grateful to God since he undoubtedly wants the Reverend to pay for his sins.
Amen. I'll say amen to that. What a jerk.
Back at the Bay Building, the sign painter is scraping off the paint from the sign that he has obviously completed. Mulch is sitting on the edge of Mildred's desk, dejected, as Laura and Steele assure Dallas, Detroit, and San Francisco that they really do appreciate their expressing an interest in the business. The 3 men assure Laura and Steele that they are still interested, with San Francisco telling them, "I think you're making a big mistake." Detroit says, "It really was exciting. I'm sorry you changed your minds." And Dallas asserting that, "If you ever reconsider, I want you to give me a call, yeah." And then Dallas adds that George here is, as he puts it, one hell of a salesman. After the 3 men leave, Steele tries to cheer Mulch up, saying, "All is forgiven. Franchising the agency isn't such a bad idea on paper." But
It's not.
Laura adds that the last thing Mr. Steele and I need getting between us is more paperwork.
Yeah, like on paper, it could work if they don't have every franchise with a guy pretending to be Steele.
And they don't have George Mulch anywhere near it.
Yeah, if they had somebody that they trust vetting everybody that gets hired and yeah, it could, but obviously that's not what they want to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense not to do it.
But not to be consoled, George despondently says, "I don't know. It just seems like the brass ring is forever beyond my reach."
Oh, poor guy.
Oh, well, it would probably corrode in my hands anyway. Mildred tries her hand at cheering up Mulch, telling him that when you fall off a horse, you got to get back on. Has she not learned?
Don't encourage him. Don't encourage him.
How many times has she gotten in trouble for
Right?
telling people to do? But she adds to him, of course, just don't straddle ours next time.
Yeah. And
Well,
Mulch
the phone
is just
rings.
Like, yeah.
The phone rings and Mulch picks it up. As he's talking, Laura tells Steele that they actually didn't do too badly. They prevented 1 murder, solved 2 others, and rid the religious world of 1 bad apple. Steele reminds her that she had called San Francisco a boring city.
San Diego.
That's what I said.
Sure.
Somebody's been in here changing my notes again, and I think I know who it was.
Oh yeah, I'm doing it from all the way in Canada.
That's right. As they turn to leave, Laura walking out ahead of Steele. Steele tells Mulch goodbye, but Mulch calls out to him, "It's Dallas. He's calling from a phone booth. He says he'll pay us 50 grand cash to reconsider."
Oh.
Cash!
Steele's
eyes
just light up.
widen. He gets this huge grin on his face, seemingly eager to pursue the conversation further. But Laura returns calling out, "Coming, Mr. Steele?"
Yeah.
And Steele, realizing that the moment has passed, pastes a somewhat insincere smile on his face, calling out, "Behind you all the way, Miss Holt," as he turns back toward her. Laura and Steele look back at Mulch, who is gritting his teeth, and we see Steele silently mouth the words, "George, I'm sorry."
Yeah, and that's funny
And we
too. That is a
freeze.
cute little I'm sorry. Like you just you dangle money in front of Steele and there's gonna be a part of him that's always like, yeah, money. He's like a one of those meerkats, He just pops up like money.
I can go for that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is a cute one. It's funny because again, like season 4 is just, it's crushing it in the sense that like we just had Steel on the Air was fun. Dancer Prancer Donner, like I said, that's one of my favorites of the entire series. Coffee Tea or Steel is really good. Premium Steel is good. Even Corn-Fed, which we had said wasn't as good as some of the others, is still good. It's just, it's sandwiched between Forged and, you know, and then you've got like Grappling and Steel Blushing. Like the whole season so far, I don't think we've had one true dud yet. Like they've just been... This one's just funny. It's got a lot of wackiness, a lot of zaniness, a lot of that madcap screwball comedy, a lot of that like mistaken identity stuff that's really funny. You've got Mulch, who always adds some comedy. Mildred is a big part of the episode, which I think always makes an episode better when Mildred has a big part in it. It is just, Well,
I think they finally found their stride, you know, after a few seasons. And we've, as we go through season 4, we've seen a lot of repeat writer names. We've seen a few new ones, but mostly it's been a lot of repeats. So you've got people who have really come to know and understand the characters.
Yeah.
They've come to know and understand the actors and how to write for them and how to best utilize their talents.
Absolutely.
You know, because there's been so much slapstick and near slapstick and zaniness in this season that wasn't necessarily present, especially in season 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really, it's just like they finally hit their stride.
What I was saying before too, that my complaint in the 3rd season wasn't necessarily that there wasn't enough romance between Steele and Laura during the freeze. It was just that they were so busy having them both pursue the cases individually that didn't even have that banter, that feeling of back and forth at all. Like they just weren't there. Whereas this episode, there's not a single, I mean, other than his sperm whale comment, there's no romance between them anywhere in this episode. And it doesn't matter because it's just really funny and it's really well done. And like that feeling, that zany sort of chemistry between them is there. The rolling their eyes, her getting stuck on the gate, him getting stuck on the gate. Like,
well,
you know,
but in the sense that there is that interaction between the two.
Yes.
It is that, that banter that you have between two people that have this kind of a relationship. There is that underpinning of romance there, because you don't have this kind of a relationship with somebody that you don't have you know, a strong relationship with.
There doesn't need to be a subplot of him trying to get her into some situation and then her, like, there doesn't always have to be that. Sometimes they just really play well off each other, and the writer Brad Kern understands this and has them doing that throughout the entire episode, and it's funny as hell. It's really good.
It's and that last big sequence where you know, from one office to the next and Steele is Steele, but no, he's Mulch
and Mildred
I mean, that's that classic what is it, French farce, the Doors, you know, constantly. That's what that is. It's more verbal than good. That.
Yeah.
But it's got the physical elements and it's got the verbal elements of that are just heightened. It's great.
Yeah, so I'm thumbs up to this one because it's a lot of fun, and it's one of those ones that I forget. I sometimes forget that it is a lot of fun until I rewatch it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this one. This is good. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
All right, well, if that's it, then we'll remind everybody about the website, SteeleWatching.com, where you'll find show notes, Amazon links to the Maltese Falcon. Should I throw in the Third Man, since I kept using that as a reference?
No, maybe.
And links to various resources, such as
the Facebook page, the Instagram page, the Twitter, as well as our officially unofficial, that's not a word, officially unofficial Steel Watchers fan group, which is not officially affiliated with the podcast, but they have so many people. And we just had somebody join that said they found the group through the podcast. So yeah, come and join us and talk about Remington Steele as much as you like, because that's what we do.
And on our webpage, you will also find links that you can use to either subscribe, as our new subscriber did, and our others do, which we appreciate all of them doing that. Or you can do a one-time donation. Either one of those are greatly appreciated.
Yeah, we're not going to give you a sermon. We're not pulling a Reverend Rawlinson. You're
That's right.
Unlike the Reverend, you're actually getting something in returns.
Yeah. And as a reminder, if you do contribute, if you are a subscribing supporter, you get ongoing access to our live recording sessions where you can see all of our screw ups before I edit them out. My tongue tangle thingies. And if you are a one-time supporter, we're going to give you a month's worth. That's 2 episodes of access to our live recordings. So,
but wait, there's more. Call now and receive yours. Sorry, I just had to do that. Anyway,
ShamWow. All right, next episode is going to be steel spawning. I know you don't like this one, but I love this one. I think it's great.
I'm saying nothing.
So this is your version of Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, and Stunner, and Blitz, and then Steel, and for me.
What are you doing here? Like,
I don't know. That's the one that you like that I don't particularly care for. This is the reverse. So
okay,
but
all right,
yeah, and you get to run it.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Well, hey, that's it, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, everybody. Eric and Sara here. Just a quick announcement to let you know that, yes, we do appreciate everyone who listens, participates, and supports the podcast in whatever way you do. But we wanted to give an extra thank you to those who are so graciously giving to be monthly financial supporters.
We are making live streams of our recording sessions available to anyone who is a monthly financial supporter. So not only can you watch us live as we record our podcast episodes, you will be getting access to the raw, behind-the-scenes, unedited version of episodes before they get officially released.
And Sara, does that include our mistakes and screw-ups and our humiliating?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
every
it does.
Single one of them.
Every single one of them, yes. So again, this is just an extra thank you to those who are going above and beyond. But whether you choose to become a monthly financial supporter or not, we still love you. We want to say we thank you for your support, your encouragement, and your feedback.
If you want to become a monthly financial supporter, please visit our website at www.SteeleWatching.com to sign up.
Hey, everybody. Eric and Sara here. Just a quick announcement to let you know that, yes, we do appreciate everyone who listens, participates, and supports the podcast in whatever way you do. But we wanted to give an extra thank you to those who are so graciously giving to be monthly financial supporters.
We are making live streams of our recording sessions available to anyone who is a monthly financial supporter. So not only can you watch us live as we record our podcast episodes, you will be getting access to the raw, behind-the-scenes, unedited version of episodes before they get officially released.
And Sara, does that include our mistakes and screw-ups and our humiliating?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
every
it does.
Single one of them.
Every single one of them, yes. So again, this is just an extra thank you to those who are going above and beyond. But whether you choose to become a monthly financial supporter or not, we still love you. We want to say we thank you for your support, your encouragement, and your feedback.
If you want to become a monthly financial supporter, please visit our website at www.SteeleWatching.com to sign up.